Good morning. How are we doing? Hi, guys. Hi, all. You're looking amazing. Thank you for the important and for an amazing company as well. My name is Oluseyi Johnson. I head partnerships for a company called Bundle, and I'm also your compare for today. We have a right of the perspectives, the speakers, the titans that we're going to be learning from. So please hear our experts, are some of the top fintech companies, right? But there's always a reason that we're here, right? Is because of the rate of technological progress. Everyone goes AI, right? We know that is definitely here in Nigeria. It's not on our doorsteps. I think the regular Joe, you know, at least knows GPT is, right? I think I did this survey maybe end of 2020 or the beginning of 2024. I said, how many people know ChatGPT? So I'm going to do it again. How many people know ChatGPT in here? Data is gold. And everyone wants to get their hands on it. So more than ever, we need to be thinking about how are we protecting it? How are we ensuring that the right people are complying and on the right side of regulations that are literally evolving every day? And I want to celebrate for really balancing, right, that difficult act of, you know, innovation on one hand and not stifling it, but then also building out policies that ensure that everybody in this room and all of the different customers that you represent are protected. I think everybody wants that. So, once again, my name is Oluche Johnson. It's going to be an amazing, probably time for us actually to meet a few of ourselves, right? I think that's one of the most important things that we're here to do, right? We'll definitely have a chance at the end too, but I think it's important that we do that. So to start us off, I believe we have the breakfast. Okay, so we have breakfast ready. So please, I think it's pretty simple as we start to meet each other, right? Just a short networking and breakfast session, and then we'll kick it off with our first speaker. All right. Thank you very much, and welcome. Please remember to bring it back in. We're really on something that is incredibly important, but also something that's evolving very quickly. I think, the regulators are literally on the ball, right? Making sure that as technology is evolving, right, Nigeria is keeping up with that. And that is keeping, many of us in the room on our toes, right? We really have to be abreast of, from a compliance perspective, from a data privacy perspective, from a tax perspective. There's so much, right, that's changing. And this is the right place to be, to navigate that for 2025. So thank you again to everyone here. Please do go outside, get yourself some tea, some coffee, bring it back in, and let's get on with the conversation. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll be starting soon. Please remember that you can quickly go outside and grab some breakfast. And please, when you do, please bring it back in. There's tea, coffee, everything you need for a power-packed next couple of hours. Okay, so as I said, welcome again to this breakfast session. We're going to be touching on a lot of themes, and we have an amazing array of perspectives cutting across data privacy, compliance, cybersecurity, the evolution of information security roles, fraud, AML. I mean, end to end, this is the best place to be for 2025 and navigating these fast evolving areas, right? And it's incredibly exciting as well to see the types of speakers and the types of perspectives that are going to be shared today. But it'll also be great to know who's in the room with us, right? So just to introduce myself again, my name is Uche Shirley Johnson. I'm head of partnerships for a company called Bundle, and I'll be your host for today. So just to, get a sense of the kinds of people that we have in the room. Hi, sir. How are you?
Good. Ayemi Musa is my name. Ayemi Musa.
Okay, great to meet you. What are you most interested in today?
Well, I'm open to what Smartcomply is going to unveil today. The thing with startup, you can never box them with any particular outcome. Just be open-minded and then see for yourself. So I'm here to just be surprised.
And what is your company?
NMPC.
Ah, great to meet you. Okay, so I won't go towards the speakers because I want to make sure that we keep them to the right time. How are you, sir? How are you doing?
I'm doing very great.
What's the name?
David Adeleke.
Okay, what organization do you represent?
Z Africa.
Z Africa. Okay, so when you think about today, from compliance, anti-money laundering, KYC, what's really important for you to take away?
Okay, so majorly it has to do with how much of collaboration are we looking at, like fostering among ourselves from the different regulatory bodies and different players in the ecosystem. So, because if there's actually no collaboration, I mean, we'll be back to square one.
I love that. I love that. Back to square one at a time that we cannot afford to go back. The rate of technological progress is staggering, right? I mentioned earlier that data is gold. Everyone wants their hands on it, right? So this is the right time to be thinking about how to protect it, right? But also how to educate, right, the leading players on how they can comply, right? And why they need to comply, and then empower them to do that. And one such player that's doing that is Smartcomply. So we want to thank our convener today. They're doing an amazing job of doing that important work of bringing together the right stakeholders, the right perspectives on something that is very, very impactful to every one of us in this room, but also to the everyday Nigerian, okay? Just a little bit about Smartcomply, right? So Smartcomply is empowering businesses to navigate the increasing complexities of compliance and cybersecurity. And they're doing this in a new way. They're automating it. They're using AI-powered tools to ensure that human errors don't become part of that journey. They're also bringing together the right stakeholders to build an ecosystem of conversation. I think the man over there said we'll literally roll back all of this progress if we're not building that collaborative spirit between the regulators, the titans, and the innovators. right? But also, one of the things I love most about them is that they have a customer first approach, right? And many of you in this room are experiencing that and have experienced that. So, without further ado, we would like to kick off this amazing breakfast session, amazing perspectives that we're going to be learning. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Valerie Azubu Ike, Chief Operations Officer, Smartcomply. Round of applause, please, as she comes up.
Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Um, Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we want to say welcome to you. In 2023, a major global retail chain was brought to its knees when a single employee unknowingly clicked on a phishing mail. What seemed like an innocuous invoice led to a ransomware attack that locked down the company's entire database, including customer payment information and details. Hackers demanded up to the tune of $25 million, threatening to leak sensitive data online. The company faced an impossible choice. One, pay the ransom and risk further exploitation, or two, refuse and endure irreparable damage to its reputation. Despite efforts by its cybersecurity team, the breach exposed the private information of millions of customers, leading to a lawsuit and 40% drop in its stock price within weeks. This caused a devastating impact on the company, which is still recovering from it today. This real-world example underscores a critical point. Cyber attack can happen to anyone, anywhere, and anytime. Even the most robust organizations are only as secure as their weakest link. It is a pleasure and an honor to welcome you again to this year's cybersecurity breakfast session, which is themed Navigating the Future of Compliance, Cybersecurity, Privacy, and Regulatory Updates for 2025. We deeply appreciate the presence of distinguished dignitaries, CISOs, business leaders, industry experts, and the media team. Your attendance emphasizes the critical importance of shaping a secure, compliant, and privacy-conscious future. The digital age has opened doors to unparalleled innovation, growth, and connectivity. However, it has also introduced a complex of challenges that require our immediate attention. Cyber threats are growing in both sophistication, frequency, and data breaches have become a global concern and phenomenon, affecting organizations and industries of all sizes. Nigeria's regulatory landscape is evolving rapidly to address these challenges. The Nigerian Data Protection Act, NDPA, has established itself as a cornerstone for safeguarding personal data and responsible data practices. Beyond the NDPA, our compliance obligations extend globally to different frameworks, running from PCI DSS for payments, security, ISO 27001 for information management, and SOC 2 for service organization control. Beyond compliance, a culture of trust and accountability is imperative. The intersection of these standards with emerging trends in fraud detection and transaction monitoring underscores the urgent need for organizations to adopt a proactive and integrated approach to compliance. It is no longer sufficient to merely meet minimum requirements. Instead, we must embed a culture of trust and accountability that resonates with customers, regulators, and stakeholders alike. While the digital age and era has fueled unprecedented innovation and connectivity, it has also introduced significant cybersecurity challenges. The increasing sophistication of cyber threats and frequency of data breaches demand immediate attention. In Nigeria, the Nigeria Data Protection Act, NDPA, serves as a cornerstone for safeguarding personal data. As we journey through 2025, one question looms large. How can we adapt to a rapidly evolving regulatory and security landscape while staying ahead of emerging threats? This breakfast session provides a platform to explore the bold answers. Throughout our discussions, we will delve into regulatory trends shaping the future of compliance, strategies for blending local and global standards to create unified frameworks, innovative advancements in fraud detection and transaction monitoring aimed at fostering trust. The goal is not simply to respond to change, but to anticipate and lead it. By embracing innovation and collaboration, we can create compliance strategies that are agile, robust, and inspiring in their vision. I want to commend the incredible efforts of the organizing team, whose dedication and hard work have made this vital discussion possible. This gathering is a testament to the power of collective expertise. To our participants, as we continue exploring and collaborating, I encourage everyone to share openly, challenge their assumptions, and seek solutions that will shape the future of compliance and cybersecurity. I leave you with a reimagined perspective inspired by renowned cybersecurity expert Bruce Schneider. Security is not only about products, but also of processes. At its heart, security relies on collaboration, research, and innovation. In Nigeria, this means we prioritize tailored solutions that address our unique challenges, fostering participants, partnerships, and leveraging our collective expertise to build a brighter and safer future for everyone. Once again, welcome to this forum. I am excited at the impactful insights and partnerships that will emerge from our time here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Valerie. Please, round of applause again, please. We're going to be hearing a lot of amazing perspectives, and I think she's kicked it off amazingly. I love that she said, this is about people, processes, just as much as it's about the data, right? And all of this is evolving daily. I think, the speed of regulatory innovation has been amazing because, the technological advances, right, that the fintech industry, that the banking industry, right, has demanded that, right? But there's a need to then be able to stay abreast of that because these things are happening incredibly fast. And the impact of not complying are enormous. I think many of us know that, right? So please join me in welcoming our next speaker, someone who knows everything there is to know about localizing these kinds of regulatory concerns for a country like Nigeria, and who have been balancing that act between innovation and policy. Please welcome for the keynote, Data Privacy, GDPR, and Compliance Strategies, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Commissioner and CEO of NDPC. Welcome, sir.
Before I start, let me make a confession. I don't know everything. But I know some things about some things. Distinguished participants, my colleagues at the service table, participants, and in particular, the management of Smartcomply that has put this together. Good morning. We are really excited to be here. And I think I really need to commend Smartcomply for putting this together, bringing major government organizations from Abuja to interact with the private sector, the actual players in the sector. I think it's really a big deal. I must give them a round of applause. Looking at the caliber of people here today, it shows, as we discussed last night during dinner, that when conversations are beginning to happen in any ecosystem, in any organization in the country, that means people are trying to align their perspectives, their actions, and what they need to do to grow our economy and our country. And this is one of such that we can do to support what government is doing in Nigeria. We keep blaming government for a lot of things. But the truth is that government is just there to give policy direction to whatever we want to achieve as a country. The real players are the private sector organizations. You bring the academia, you bring the media. That is the only way we can always work together. This is collaboration, this is partnership. So we commend you for bringing all of us together for this discourse this morning. I've been given a topic to look at navigating the future of compliance, cybersecurity, privacy, and regulatory updates. I think something is wrong with the screen. Now, we all aware that we live in a digital world, that hardly can we do anything without going online. And when we go online, it is obvious that we are exposed in one way or the other to issues around cybersecurity, issues around privacy, issues around protection, and that is why organizations, government across the globe, they are putting in place measures to ensure that we are actually protected online. But there is misconception in areas of security and privacy. They are different. We're just like a twin pillar supporting the digital age. That is, whatever you do online, there is the aspect of security and there is the aspect of privacy. And these two have been probably defined here by saying that data protection ensures that personal information is collected, processed, and stored responsibly, respecting the rights and privacy of individuals. That is your right as an individual to take control of your personal information. How are you able to do this when the information is no more with you? It is the third party in this case. That is your data controllers and processors. They have your data. At the same time, you want to be able to control your data. The only way you can do that is through a lot of laws, regulatory instruments, guidelines, and so on. And that has to do with your privacy. And the other part is the area of cybersecurity. And now you are not talking about that this focuses on safeguarding the digital assets and systems that house this data from unauthorized assets. That is digital asset that you have, all the gadgets, all the devices that are put in place. What kind of measures are we putting in place to ensure that information, okay, great. That whatever information that you have in this database is actually protected. That is cybersecurity. And we should try to, as much as to avoid mixing them up. It even happens when you say data protection and the data privacy. It's always the same thing. We need to really know that we can't afford to mix them up. But one thing that is really important for both is that they create trust in whatever you do online. There is this confidence, there is this assurance that yes, if my personal data is protected in the area of privacy and the area of cybersecurity, you'll be able to really trust those who have your data, those who have your information. And that is why they are, I call them twin pillars. They are like the foundation to the digital age. Now, let's just look at a bit of statistics. Globally, about 5.52 billion people use the internet. That is out of over about 8 billion people. That shows the level of digital development and deployment all over the world. And as we speak, we have over 18.8 billion devices connected by one way or the other globally. And that was from just 10 billion in 2019. And there are statistics, projections saying that by 2030, we'll be having 41.1 billion devices connected. Doing what? Processing your information, processing my information, for us to be able to interact in one way or the other. All these are adult devices, computers, laptops, everything and anything that you use to process data or to collect information for processing online. By 2030, that is just about 6 years' time, there will be over 41.1 billion. Whereas the world population by that time will be less than 10 billion. That means to every human being, there are about 4 devices which you use for one thing or the other, and they are connected to the internet. That means there is virtually anything you can do without going online, and you might be exposed to issues around cybersecurity and privacy. Then we now look at, sorry, I think something is wrong with the screen. They are not already coming up properly. Now, we now live in a world of emerging technologies. We talk of artificial intelligence, we talk of IoT, we talk of robotics, we talk of big data. Without data, there's no emerging technologies. Without data that you collect and process, they rely absolutely on data. And that is why it's really important to put in place measures to ensure that whatever data they collect and process is adequately protected. And they have a lot of privacy implications in terms of some of the rights of the data subjects and the trust and confidence that data subject want to have in your database. For instance, something as simple as the fact that some of these emerging technologies are immutable, that when you input some information, when you input some data, it is extremely difficult to erase some. Whereas part of your right as a data subject is that of a religion. So how do you now balance it? You want to innovate, you want to use emerging technologies. At the same time, you don't have the right to say, okay, remove my information from your database. How do you now balance that? It calls for serious thoughts among solution developers, among regulators, among actors in the digital economy sector. Then we look at the impact of cybercrime and data breach globally. It has been asserted that cyber attacks were perceived to be the 5th most likely risk to present a material crisis on a global scale in 2024. That is, cyber attacks globally will pose the highest risk to us in whatever we do, because all of us are exposed in one way or the other. The era of physical attacks is over. And I'm sure the CP will testify with what they've seen, the cost of the operations in the last few years. The amount of human capital we lose, the amount of money, the amount of infrastructure we lose to cyber attacks, and issue around privacy. Globally, not only in Nigeria, it's massive. And there will be asserted that that will be the most serious crime all over the world. Statistics have shown that cybercrime will cost the global economy more than $20 trillion by 2026. That is, by 2026, that is next year, cyber attacks will cost the whole world about $20 trillion. And we know what that means globally. And this is about 1.5 times increase from that of 2022. That is just 3 years. Because more and more people are coming online to do one thing or the other. So the rate of cybercrime, cyber attacks will continue to increase. And on average, the average cost of any breach Any attack is about $4.8 million. That is what we are going to lose. What if there's any attack on any system? The minimum cost is about $4.8 million. This can wreck an organization. These are implications of what we are trying to address here. The area of cyber attacks, privacy, and so on. But when you now talk of breaches of privacy, they are mainly on personally identifiable information, IDs, emails, bank accounts, telephone numbers that are being hacked to perpetrate one attack or the other. That is even apart from the attack on the device itself. This things the idea of policies, devices, and so on. Let's look at the area of human capital itself. That is the people, you and I, the people driving this process. Because these technologies are there, they will work by themselves. You need to do one thing or the other for it to be able to work. So as we are looking at cyber attacks, incidences, issues, problems, and the area of technology that we are deploying, we also need to look at the areas of human capital. That's people that are driving these technologies. What are the impacts of cyber attacks? What is the outlook for the future? What are we even envisaging? What are we expecting? And these are also based on field statistics. That these are according to the World Economic Forum, that by 2030, 92 million current jobs will be lost. Out of the jobs that we are doing, 92 million will be lost. And that's why a lot of people are afraid that when you deploy digital technologies, they will lose their jobs. Yes. If you want to remain analog, you don't want to reskill, you don't want to retool, definitely you will lose your jobs. Bad news, right? But the good news is that 170 million jobs, new jobs, digital economy sector, looking at cybersecurity, looking at data privacy, will be created. So for anybody to be part of the newly emerging economy, you need to retool, you need to reskill. If you want to remain analog, you won't be able to play in this sector anymore. And the implication is that out of these jobs, 39% of today's skills will be outdated. The skills that we are probably practicing today, 41% of them will be outdated because of emerging technologies. In Nigeria, and that is in Nigeria, and globally, there is this global skill shortage in the areas of cybersecurity. In fact, as we speak, it's about 4 million in Nigeria alone. And we know what that means. In fact, IBM has estimated that cybersecurity skill gap have contributed about 1.76 million increase in average in 2024 alone. And in the area of data privacy in Europe, there is 95% shortage in the area of data privacy. And if you look at Nigeria, we've identified about 500,000 data controllers and processors that will require the services of data privacy experts. And as we speak, we are now up to 10,000. So there is also a gap of about 480,000. That means that as we are talking of deploying digital technologies, we are talking of human capital, we are talking of the challenges, we need to put in place measures to build capacity as well. Or else people will lose their jobs, and the next thing they will do is to perpetrate crimes again. So we need to understand this in looking at the area of policies, looking at the area of devices, technology that we are deploying, the area of human capital. Then we look at Nigeria's cybersecurity status. Next slide, please. The newly released Global Cybersecurity Index has put Nigeria in tier 3. That is, countries that still establish their cybersecurity. We say, no, it should not be like that. But the good news is that it gives us the opportunity to leapfrog. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. A lot of things that other countries have done, that have worked or not worked, so then they've try to experiment with. We don't need to experiment. All we need to do is to look at peculiarities here, plug in, and we move. This GCI assessed national efforts across 5 major pillars. What they actually assess to put us at the level of establishing countries that establish their cybersecurity ecosystem. Legal, that is the kind of laws that we have. In Nigeria, we have a Cybercrime Act, and we have the Data Protection Act. Technical, what kind of technical capability do we have? And what kind of technical technologies are we deployed as a country and as a people? Organization, how have we been able to organize ourselves together in the area of cybersecurity to work together, partner, and focus on what was the capacity development, which I just mentioned, and cooperation, which is really important. That was why I commended Smartcomply for bringing us together. But the strengths here that we have as a country, strong legal and regulatory framework, which I just mentioned, the Cybercrime Act, the Nigeria Data Protection Act. Then there is growing investment in cybersecurity infrastructure. A lot of things are coming to the play in this area. This is even part of what is happening here today. Investing in cybersecurity, cyber infrastructure, and so on. Then what do we need to do to improve? We need to organize together, build our capacity, cooperate, and properly coordinate what we are doing. Strengthen our workforce, focus on human capital development, foster local and international cooperation. Then look at global trends shaping future of compliance. Now we are talking about compliance here. What are the things that are really shaping compliance globally? I will just identify a few here. Reliance on digital services. As I said before, hardly can anyone do anything now without relying on digital services. I can't remember the last time I went to the bank. I do almost everything here. And I think it's the same thing with almost all of us doing our transactions online. You want to buy from Amazon, from everywhere, all over the world. You did right from the comfort of your room. So absolute reliance on digital platforms. The emerging technologies, which I already mentioned, and the attendant privacy risk with it. Global convergence of data protection laws, and even cybersecurity laws. Now they are globally being coordinated, that you have counterparts all over the world. As we speak, we have about 40 data protection authorities in Africa out of 54 countries. Globally, we have about 130 data protection authorities. So it calls for global collaboration. And these are things driving compliance, because the kind of law you are seeing in Europe is what you see in Nigeria. The EU GDPR, which is the global golden standard for data protection, all most countries do is to look at it, look at our peculiarities, our culture, our people, the level of deployment of technologies, the level of development of technologies, what suits us as a people. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So all these things are coming together, and that is why in terms of compliance, the standard, the level you have in Nigeria is what you have in the US. We are talking about interbank settlement system last night. At a time that we had instant transfer in Nigeria, US didn't have it. The Azure just started about 2-3 years ago. But the whole world is coming together now to agree and to look at the best way to address this. And that is why, in terms of standard, in terms of deployment, in terms of what we are doing, we have to be globally competitive. And also in terms of human capital. These are issues in the area of cybersecurity and privacy. And these are things that will shape the future of compliance. That is, what you are doing here should be comparable to anyone in any part of the world in terms of standard. The frameworks, the guidelines that you want to issue, it has to be comparable to anyone in any part of the law. Well, because the barriers of this have been broken down completely by digital technology that we are deploying. So whatever you are practicing here, you should compare yourself with other countries and know that yes, we are at the level, the same standard with what is happening in other countries, either developed, developing, or underdeveloped countries. Now in Nigeria, what we have done, this is just a journey of data privacy in Nigeria. I'm sure the CP will speak to that of the core cybersecurity. But so I've taken a broad look at what we have in the area of privacy and security. So I've just narrowed down to our own area now and leave the experts in cybersecurity to do their own. So this is like a journey in data privacy in Nigeria. The foundation is actually in our constitution, section 37 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Then we had a lot of regulations, NIDA Act of 2007, NIMSI Act of 2007, Cybercrime Act of 2015, Freedom of Information Act of 2012. All of them say one thing or the other about issue of privacy and need to protect our privacy. In fact, the statement in the Constitution is that the privacy of all Nigerians should be guaranteed. How is it guaranteed? It's a statement. You need to take action for it to be guaranteed. And that's why we're not having laws or statements, some of these acts. But the major turning point for us was the NDPR issued under NIDA in 2019, speaking to the main objective of protecting the rights, freedom, and interests of all Nigerians wherever they are, and to also improve the global competitiveness of our businesses. We keep saying the world is not a global village. We compare our businesses with others in other parts of the world, and we interact with them on a regular basis. So the global competitiveness of our business, which requires cross-border transfer of data, is really important as well. With that, we went to the Act itself, that is the Nigeria Data Protection Act, which has put in place a lot of measures to protect us as citizens, improve our global competitiveness, ensure that we put in measures for compliance. Your compliance is the main thing. It's one thing for you to have the law in place. It's a completely different thing for people to comply. But one thing that business should know that there is no excuse for non-compliance. The law is the law. If and when issues come up, you won't say, oh, I wasn't aware, I didn't know. So compliance is very important to the provisions of the law. And the law actually officially created the Nigeria Data Protection Commission to ensure that the law is to oversee the implementation of the law. And it was signed on the 12th of June 2023 by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, with the law in place, and we're talking about compliance, what strategies can we actually put in place to enhance? And that speaks to what all of us are doing in our individual organizations, and even our data subjects. If you wear a cap as a data controller or processor, on the other hand, you wear a cap of a data subject, what do we need to put in place to ensure that our data is actually protected in the area of privacy? Can we move, please? Now, the first thing to do to comply with the provision of the law is to register as a data controller of major importance. And we actually started this last year. And this is according to Section 44 of the Nigeria Data Protection Act 2003. We say that data controllers and data processors of major importance shall register with the Commission within 6 months after the commencement of the Act or on becoming a data controller or processor. That is, 6 months, if you're already a data controller or processor, 6 months after the laws has been passed, you must register. Or you are coming in as a new data controller or processor, you must register maximum of 6 months after you have registered your company. This is the law. So those that have not even registered now, they have not complied with the provisions of the law. And that is a breach on its own. Let's just take that and put it in our pockets. Next. The second strategy is to process whatever data you collect in line with established data processing principles. Now you talk of, I don't want to be going to all these ones one after the other, believing that we're all knowledgeable in the area of privacy. But it's really important to ensure that the data you collect and process, either you're using emerging technologies or old technologies, is lawful, and you are fair the way you collect and process such data. It is lawful, it is fair, and you are transparent. Integrity and confidentiality of this data that you have with you, which has to do with cybersecurity too, CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability is really important in the area of privacy too. Purpose limitation, that is, for what purpose are you collecting such data? Storage limitation, all those ones are the principles which must guide the way we collect, process, share, and store data. Then also to comply, ensure that processing of personal data is funded on legal ground. There must be legal grounds for you to collect and process personal data. And these are the grounds: consent to data subject, if it's on contractual basis, legal obligation, vital interest of data subject, public interest, legitimate interest. And when you say legitimate interest, a lot of data controllers and processors may want to take advantage of this. But there's a caveat that whatever you are doing under legitimate interest must not be in conflict with other rights that will be highlighted above. Next slide, please. The fourth one is to ensure that you safeguard the rights of data subjects and ensure that data subjects are able to exercise the following rights. Data subjects have rights. Right to be informed, to access, rectification, to be forgotten, restriction, all these are their rights. However, if you look at the last one, right to object to automated processing, how do you want to balance that with emerging technologies? How do you want to balance that with AI? How do you want to balance it with blockchain? Well, they develop all these applications without your knowledge. They can't be collecting your data one after the other, whereas you need to input your data. And now, at the same time, you want to restrict the processing. These are some of the challenges that we are still grappling with. Next slide, please. Now, implementing technical organization, this is really, really key. And this is the meat of the whole thing. And that you need to put in place measures to ensure that the data in your database is protected. That speaks a lot to the level of compliance or whatever you want to do in the area of compliance. And these are two areas: technical measures, which are listed there, the encryption method, access control, all this. The organizational measures, your privacy policy that speaks to who you are, what you do, the kind of data you collect, how you process, how you share. Is there any crossover border transfer of data? Where if you are sharing to any third party or another country, what kind of law do they have to guarantee trust and confidence in whatever they are doing there? You must have a DPO that oversees your data protection activity. However, if you are an SME, in Nigeria, we are saying you don't need to have a resident DPO. You can outsource this as a service. And that is where a DPO can work for 5, 10 organizations. And that's what we are encouraging for the SMEs to do. Constant training of your staff, which is really important, because this sector is very dynamic, it keeps changing, and you need to continue to build the capacity of your staff. Data privacy impact assessment. If you are deploying new technologies, you need to do the DPIA to evaluate the risk associated with such technologies and look at ways of mitigating if and when it happens. Your data retention policies, regular audits, privacy by design. That is, right from the moment you are designing your solutions, you need to put in place the area of privacy, which is really important. All this speaks to the area of compliance to the provisions of the law. Next slide, please. In Nigeria, we have a model which is very unique and original to us. Most countries, after their law, they struggle a lot with compliance. We understand that climb, and we know that it may be extremely difficult for us to drive compliance. And that's why we came up with the PPP model to license organizations who have expertise in data privacy and protection. And Smartcomply is one of them that you can contact to go through compliance. One good thing that has come up is the fact that the original aim was for them to offer compliance as a service. But now they have a lot of services they now offer. Your annual risk filing, training and awareness, incident response, international transfers, security measures, DPI, and so many other services. In fact, they do more than 10 different services that are part of compliance as a service. And this model has really driven compliance in Nigeria. As we speak, for the organizations submitting their annual audit, we have over 4,000. And in terms of registration of data controller and processors, we hit an unprecedented mark last year that we're able to do over 33,000 registration of data controllers and processors, which is unprecedented all over the world. For a law to be put in place for a law to be put in place within 1 year and be able to drive registration with the DPA, a lot of people run away from regulators. A lot of data controller processors, businesses, they run away from regulators. But for us to be able to capture 33,000, it's really huge. However, we are not there yet because the target is 500,000. So we are just doing about 6% compliance. But it is still unprecedented all over the countries that had their laws before us, they are still struggling, 6,000, 5,000, and so on. But because of the model that we adopted, that's why we'll be able to achieve this. Part of what we expect in compliance is to report breaches. The law says you must report any breach in your database within 72 hours. If you refuse to report and you found out, it's a breach again. And that can lead to serious consequences and penalties. So it is the responsibility of the data controllers and presidents to report to us immediately and notify data subjects. They need to communicate to that subjects. If they can reach them on the database, fine. If not, if there are many, like a bank, for instance, a telco, you put up a public notice for them to understand what has happened to your database. And it's according to Section 40 of the NDP Act. Next slide, please. Next slide. Then we need to create awareness, which is really important. And one thing that I want us to know is that the face of compliance is changing globally, more particularly with emerging technologies. Yes, going for physical verifications, appointing your DPO, your DPCOs, yes, they are still working for us. But there are lots going on in the area of technologies that can drive compliance. And that is why in the pillar of the Nigerian Data Protection Act, the strategic roadmap that we developed, the third pillar is ecosystem and technologies. Like what kind of technologies can we develop locally, indigenous technologies that can drive awareness, reporting, compliance, investigation, and so many other things. And that is what we are looking at, and that is the future, and that is truth. So whatever we are doing now, we should have it at the back of our mind that technologies will take over whatever we are doing. As I already mentioned before in the area of human capital, that we need to put in place measures to develop human capital that will drive what we are doing. So compliance, the future of compliance relies on the kind of technology we are able to develop and deploy in Nigeria. And as much as we want to encourage indigenous technologies, our startup in Nigeria, they are doing a lot. In fact, in Africa, they attracted the highest number of funding globally in 2024. And we are looking for a solution that can drive compliance. And that is the future, and that is the truth. So as we live here, I want all of us to start thinking of the kind of technology that we can develop that will drive compliance in the different sectors. Then DPO, then we will appreciate to have the contact of your data protection officers with us as part of our database in the commission. Then all your vendors, third-party vendors, those that are working with you for one thing or the other, you need to ensure that they comply with the provisions of the law too. But no compliance on the part of your third party will negatively impact your own activities or your own level of compliance. So there must be a proper level of service level of agreement between you and your vendors to ensure your agents, to ensure that they have complied with the provisions of the law too. Not compliance with their part too will have negative impact on you. Next slide, please. Then why compliance? Why do you need to comply? Why do you need to comply with the provisions of the law? These are the things that we have seen, that if you comply with the law, build trust, build confidence in whatever you are doing. Clients also, they are sure that whatever they have with you is protected. And it's like a commitment to ethical way of handling data. It is no more a nice to have, it is a must have to drive your own businesses. Because if you don't comply, it can lead to a lot of legal issues, fines, penalties, that impact negatively on your organization. And the reputational damage alone to organization is huge. It can shut down your businesses for non-compliance. So as I said, it's not a nice to have, it is a must have. And to ensure global competitiveness of your business, there are some countries that if you want to interact with you as an indigenous company based in Nigeria, the first thing they have, or in any country, do you have a cyber security act? Do you have a data protection act to guarantee trust and confidence in your own economy and whatever you are doing? If you don't have, they're not ready to do business with you. When you have, they now look at the level of your own compliance. If you have not complied, they still don't see you as being serious-minded. So it's part of what will drive the global competition of your businesses. And as I said, that it's not a global issue, and we're going to evolve. So I think it's the best thing for us is to ensure that we see it as a culture. No more that it's not something that somebody will now be forcing you to comply. See it as part of what we need to do. It's just like you're having a car. It has different components. The engine, the transmission, the tires, the body. It's a major component of your business. And you cannot run away from compliance. That is the truth. So what we are doing is be a culture that compliance is really important to us, to regulations. The era of running away from regulation is over. And in fact, in this era, there is no escape. So the best thing for us is to all agree and comply with the provisions of the law. Next slide, please. Non-compliance will lead to enforcement activities. There is no excuse, as I said. When we receive complaints, we launch investigations. We issue compliance orders. We enforce the order. In fact, the good thing about the law in Nigeria is that we don't need to go to any court. When you are caught, we carry out our investigation thoroughly. We have the power to issue fines that can even be up to 2% of gross earnings for the previous year. It is now when you don't agree with us, you cannot go to court. But the first thing is that we'll have issued the fine. And even, as I said, the reputational damage alone, if you issue a fine, we announce. You know what that means to your businesses. So please, it's really important for us not to get to that level. And between when we started and now, if we say more than 20 organizations, there was only one fine that we announced because of our approach, awareness stage. Don't create problems for businesses. It's only when there are serious issues, breaches, or you are not cooperating that we can announce. But all we do is point out the areas of non-conformities, take you through compliance, you pay your remediation fee, and we monitor you for 6 months to ensure that you are doing the right thing. Next slide, please. Penalties. These are the penalties for non-compliance, which are clearly stated there. Next slide, please. Our role is to enforce the law, to ensure that we work with you. Collaboration is really key with us, and that's why we are partnering with all organizations to ensure that we drive compliance in the country. Next slide. The global businesses now depend on digital technologies. That is the truth. And that means there is no escape from deploying and developing digital technology in our businesses. And as I said, let's take compliance as part of what we need to do to avoid issues that may come up, either on the part of data subjects or on the part of regulators. And what we need to do is for all of us to work together. We see ourselves as partners in this ecosystem to drive the advancement of digital technologies, to ensure that we put in place measures for protection, to protect our assets, digital assets, human assets, personal information that we have in all this data that we collect and process on a regular basis. Next slide, please. For the Nigeria Data Protection Act is what we have here. Those who don't have copies can scan. You can read and digest thoroughly, share with your colleagues. And we're available on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, LinkedIn. You can reach us for complaints, for comments, for advice. We're happy to work with you. Thank you very much.
Wow. Round of applause, please. Another round of applause. Amazing. Okay. Just to let you know that we will be sharing his slides, right? I think it's power packed, right? You really need to dissect it and deep dive or dive deeper, right? To really get the meat. But and kudos to you, sir. I really have to say, again, that you guys are innovating alongside creating, world-class policy for something that's super impactful to the whole of Nigeria. I would say one thing you mentioned was, people run from regulators, right? But I think that this is something that's not only a differentiator, right, if you're complying, right, but it's something that's ethical. It speaks to your customers, right? Whether you're B2C, you're B2B, that you actually care about them, right? And that becomes something that, drives even more business for you. It's becoming incredibly important. But I also want to say that, the act itself and the way that it's been, pushed, right, is well structured. It's easy to understand, and I think that, that leveraging, the infrastructure like Smartcomply really, really has shown that, this is the right strategy to take. So kudos on that. And just speaking about Smartcomply, right? This is what Smartcomply does, right? It takes all of that, right, and makes it even easier, right? It makes it plug and play. Right? So for many businesses who are thinking, how do I actually navigate, right, these evolving issues around compliance, around risk, right, AML, literally it's plug and play. And we'll be diving into that in a little bit. So, but one of the biggest things, right, that he also mentioned was the massive losses, right? I think locally in Nigeria, we've not been left out of this. Right? Over the last couple of years, we've actually heard of a few, massive breaches, right? And it can only increase. So this is the right moment to be taking this incredible area as seriously as possible. Cyber attacks lose $20 trillion, or will lose $20 trillion by 2026. That's massive, right? And that's right on our doorstep. So please, join me again in welcoming somebody who's no stranger to cybersecurity for our next keynote, Strengthening Cybersecurity and Combating Financial Crimes, a Collaborative Effort. Join me as I welcome to the stage CP Uche Ifeanyi Henry, the Commissioner of Police and Director of the National Police Force National Cybercrime Center. You're welcome, sir.
All right, let's have the first slide. The organizers, the Commissioner General of NDPC, other members of the high table, if there's something like that, then participants. So my name is Ifeanyi Henry Uche. I'm the Commissioner of Police in charge of the National Cybercrime Center of the Nigerian Police Force. So can I have the first slide, please? Okay, while voting, well, I want to join the Commissioner General to thank the organizers for this invite because whether I would like it or not, the best way to go is for us to discuss, ways of fighting cybercrime in Nigeria, in Africa, and the world over. Because you agree with me that cybercrime is a global problem. It's not a problem that is associated to Nigeria alone. Because outside this jurisdiction, when they talk about cybercrime, people believe that any young man that you find or you see in Nigeria is a cyber criminal. That's the notion outside here. Because I've had cause to have had engagements with colleagues from other jurisdictions. And by the way, I was appointed as the chairman, Interpol African Working Group on Cybercrime. So early last year. So I oversee cybercrime operations in the whole of Africa, 54 countries. So I got the appointment last year because of our achievements in Nigeria in area of cybercrime investigations, helping victims of cybercrime from Nigeria and outside Nigeria. And based on that, we were considered, for that post. And we've done a lot, in helping victims of cybercrime in Nigeria in particular. So whenever they see we meet, they will be asking, how about Yahoo Yahoo? Yahoo Yahoo boys in Nigeria. So we're going to discuss the activities of the Yahoo Yahoo boys in Nigeria. Yes, I said so because these are the guys who meet on daily basis. We interrogate. There is no day that I don't interrogate maybe 1, 2, 3 cyber criminals in Nigeria. So for you, the tech officers, you provide the tools, you provide the solutions. Now, other agencies, they have one or two, other sectoral sides, they have 1 or 2 things to do. But we'll meet with these guys. Maybe when we meet with them, maybe at a club level where they are pumping champagne and other things. But we'll see them, we'll feel them, and we know what they do. So we're in a better position to discuss this. Having said that, I still want to say a very big thank you for this invite because so many people do not know about the existence of the National Cybercrime Center of Nigerian Police Force. In Nigeria, when they talk about police, people were like, oh, what can they do? There's a trust issue. And I believe that we are doing a lot to change that, to change the narrative. And that is why we've taken the bull by the horn at the National Cybercrime Center of the Nigerian Police Force to do the right thing, to make sure that victims of cybercrime receive, very good help when they are confronted with cyber attacks. Now, when I talk about victims of cybercrime, I don't just mean individuals. I mean companies, organizations, agencies of government, including the tech experts. Don't think that they are not faced with cyber attacks. Of course. I could remember when we started newly in our complex. Meanwhile, the building you're seeing there is the National Cybercrime Center of the Nigerian Police Force. I remembered the very first week we, completed our installations, our technologies, and we launched. We had over 500 attacks, recorded. So don't think that tech companies or law enforcement that they are not faced with this attacks. So we are going to look at the things that we've done to gain your trust. We're going to look at things that we've done to help victims of cybercrime within Nigeria and outside, this jurisdiction. So the unit was actually created late 2017 because of the influx of cases we were getting from other jurisdictions. Because we noticed, then that most victims are not Nigerians. We just have limited numbers of victims, patches of victims from Nigeria, but major victims are outside this jurisdiction. So mainly in cases of trends like, romance scam, business email compromise, and of recent we started having surge in extortions, where they target mainly teenagers. So Having that from other jurisdictions, of course, the bulk used to come to us of the reports through the National Central Bureau of Interpol. So it was a small unit under Interpol then. 2022, the section was created and was under the first CID, now under the first CID, known as the National Cybercrime Center of the Nigerian Police Force. So the major thing that we do is cybercrime detection, prevention, investigations, and prosecution. So we're the only law enforcement agency that's saddled with that responsibility to investigate. Not only investigation, to prevent. Because as we go on, we're still going to discuss, some of, the things that we do to protect our critical national information infrastructure. Because for us to have the tech, for us to have our office, in which we do everything there, all our daily activities are all tech-based. Of course, you cannot investigate cybercrime without being a tech expert. It's not possible. Because almost the whole police officers we have, they are all tech experts. We've been trained, they're all certified, in area of cyber investigation. We'll have certified ethical hackers. We'll have a lot that are certified hacker forensic investigators and all other certifications. So you cannot investigate someone that is using tech to commit crime without being a tech expert. Of course, you know that. So, basic duties include investigation of cybercrime and cyber-enabled crime, not only cybercrime. So digital forensic analysis and examination of electronic devices such as mobile phones, laptops, and all the rest. So we normally encourage our investigators to look out for mobile phones, not at the roadblocks. Okay? Because I know the question will come. Hey, IG say people should not ask for phone. If a device is being used to commit crime, as a cybercrime investigator, what will you do? You just ask questions without having forensic examination and analysis of the device recovered from the threat actor. So these are basic things. So we encourage them, not only cybercrime, not only for cyber threat actors, but for all other offenses and predicate offenses. Be it murder, be it kidnapping, be it, of course, if they kidnap, what would they use to ask for ransom? It's mobile device. So at the end of the day, if you arrest a kidnapper, what will you first look at? You look at the device to be able to extract, to know, the information content there. So because it retains data, it retains information. I was happy when the NDPC, National Commission, was talking about data. Data is life. That's the way I look at it. For us, for us to work without data is like human being working without blood. Is that possible? Of course, it's not possible. So we rely on information. We rely on available data. And that is the only way we can succeed. And we've done tremendously well by relying on data and utilizing it for good. So we do social media event monitoring. So an intelligence analysis is not to go after those using social media, don't quote me. It's to go after the content, to look at the content and to do proper analysis. Of course, you agree with me that there are those that what they do every day is to sleep and wake up to generate content that can create unrest. Those kinds are not journalists. So, because I know you'll be seeing me on television, parading such suspects. Yes, when you push out content that will cause harm, you push out content that can create problem, you push out content that are fake and lies, filled with fakes, lies, and all the rest. Of course, you must have to be held accountable for your actions. So, whatever thing that you do and that you push out, you must be able to defend it. You must be able to verify, any content that you push out. So we do vulnerability assessments of information infrastructure. That's the way we help some other government agencies, and including companies that don't have, that capabilities of doing it. Because for there to be cyber attack cannot come directly without exploits. Of course, they have to exploit to know the vulnerability of your portal. And that is when they know the vulnerability, that is the only way they will know whether to deploy a phishing link, a phishing attack, or to go attract, the deployment of a malware attack. Of course, ransomware attack is, we have noticed patches of ransomware attack in Nigeria. And of course, we've been working with the tech, professionals of those that were attacked to make sure that we help them. So these are some of the key, basic major things that we do at the National Cybercrime Center of the Nigerian Police Force. Well, I don't know whether this video can play. This is just the basic thing that we do. Can you go back? I want you to play that video, please. Just 1 second. Back. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, that video cannot play because it's just, we compressed our activities into 2 minutes, clip. Basically, what we do on daily basis. Well, unfortunately, that video cannot play. So now, what we ask, the major thing that is actually behind, the motivating factor for the cyber criminals. Now, why the cybercrime is on increase in Nigeria, in Africa, and all over the world. So many people believe that it's a result of poverty. So many people believe that it's a result of unemployment. But for me and my team, we believe that the major problem is advancement in technology. It's not a problem. But then, because I believe we've gained a lot using tech. But the same solution that we use, the same device that we use, that's the same device the cyber criminals and the threat actors, same thing that they use. So advancement in technology, yes, is very good, but it created lots of problems, Because one, most times the tech experts, those that develop those tools and solutions and technologies, don't actually cooperate with law enforcement agencies to be able to fight, this crime. Because of course, criminals hide behind computers and electronic devices and leverage on technological innovations to perpetrate these crimes. You can see what we have. Can you go back? Okay, you can see what we have here. Where the computer started, this Charles Babbage, this first computer in the world. Then we'll start having the advancement in technology down to devices. And of course, that's because the NDPC National Commission gave us statistics. The smartphone, the population of those that use a smartphone, we actually have over 50% of our population that uses smartphone on a daily basis. Now, we equally have over 50% of population that uses internet penetration on a daily basis. So when you look at these things, you see that, of course, and as I said before, the devices they use, the technology they use, it's the cyber criminals is something that we use. So I see advancement in technology as a major issue, and that's why we must have to create enough awareness. That's why we have to sensitize our people on how to stay safe online and on how to manage the use of this technology. Of course, aside advancement in technology, increase in cybercrime can be attributed to lack of sensitization. Because, if you don't know what to do when confronted with cyber attack, you're gone. So we need to sensitize our people. And again, victims lack of awareness on the modus operandi of the cyber criminals or threat actors. So it's a big issue. So the tech partners, need to work with law enforcement and need to work with the government for us to be able to, know what to do when confronted with cyber attacks. If not, you just be providing tools and solutions, and there will be attacks. If everybody gets attacked on a daily basis, then it means we are not doing much. So I just want to roll out our statistics, our achievements for last year. We published this last week with social media, mainstream media, and all the rest. So last year, 2024, we recorded 508 cybercrime cases were reported to us with sextortion, business email compromise, cyber stalking, and computer-related fraud as the major prominent and the most prominent. Now we arrested 751 threat actors, cyber criminals. We gained 14 convictions last year. Then we recovered over 8.8 billion naira last year. We actually recovered more than this one, but this is something that we can defend. What I mean by that is that these are passed through court processes, and we're able to establish, that this is what we have. There are still some other cases that are still in court, which will have some of the funds still in banks. So this is exactly what we published, 8.8 billion, and $84,000 in cash we recovered for victims. So we had 115 or 2-3 USDT frozen in different bank accounts and the crypto wallets. So we recovered of 26 vehicles as proceeds of crime, 16 houses, 39 plots of land, and 14 land documents recovered as proceeds. We recovered 685 devices comprising of 4 Cs, 7 mobile phones, 137 laptops, 46 routers, 4 Starlinks, 28 desktops, and 4 servers, and 1 drone. So this is the statistical representation of the 10 most committed cybercrimes in 2024 that we have. So prominent among is the business email compromise that I told you. Now, before now, we're having, surge in romance scam and of course, identity theft. But for last year, we noticed very big increase in, the area of business email compromise. I know you all understand what business email compromise is. So a computer-related fraud, cyber stalking, defamation, forgery, and all the rest. So the means through which we receive complaints includes through petitions. So if you have issues with your company, individuals, you can actually file your reports to the Inspector General of Police. So we equally develop intels, that we call. So we investigate. And the other from National Central Bureau of Interpol. Well, we're talking about AI, and we're talking about using technology to fight crime and using AI to combat crime. Because one is that we noticed from our investigations, involving fintech companies and other financial institutions. So we noticed that cyber criminals now use AI to actually commit fraud. So I mean, if you don't have AI to be able to combat AI generated fraud, then it's a huge problem. So we had cases where we recorded where a cyber criminal, well, I'm going to discuss, if that is time, I'm going to discuss the case, where a cyber criminal was able to use AI to transact or to transfer to transact about 600 transactions within 2 minutes. So it moved a lot of funds within 2 minutes using artificial intelligence. So that now tells you that we have a lot of problems to solve. So, and how do you now combat that? With someone using AI to commit fraud. So I believe companies like this, the Smartcomply and other tech partners should be able to develop AI tools that can enable banks identify frauds, that can enable fintechs identify frauds. If not, we will be having issue because they are moving, as the tech develops, as things moves. Equally, the cyber criminals, they develop new means, new modus operandi to be able to counter, because they always like to be 2-3 steps ahead of the law enforcement. They always like to be 2-3 steps, ahead of the tech partners and all the rest. So it's a very big issue, and we should do something about it. So unfortunately, this video cannot play from. Can we play the video? Okay. So can you go back, please? Okay. I just want to show some of the cases, interesting cases we handled within the period under review. We have a case of frauds, that was reported by Patricia Technologies, where MPF SCCC investigated the hacking of a cryptocurrency wallet owned by Patricia Technology, a multi-billion naira company that deals with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. The tech firm reported that about $2 million was stolen from their system without a trace. Now, during the investigation, we were able to identify those that were involved, and part of which, that we identified was a governorship candidate in Cross River State. I was arrested after stolen funds was traced to him. So we won't go into details of how he conducted it, but he spearheaded the whole activities, and as we speak, he's still under prison custody. So let's go. Can it play? Okay. So in Nigeria, basically this is what we have. This is the activities of the Yahoo boys. But one interesting thing to note is that apart from having these Yahoo boys in Nigeria, and for them to organize themselves like this, we equally have foreigners that are in Nigeria that are doing the same thing. So we're going to discuss that. You'll see it as we progress. So what we see here, is a typical, place where they stay. Normally, you see the bunk beds. You see them. They run shift as they operate. So, and these are some of the cybercrime trends that Nigerian cyber criminals, threat actors are known for. So the likes of DDoS attack, revenge porn, ransomware attacks, business email compromise, extortion, social engineering, ransomware attack, identity theft, and all the rest. So one interesting thing to note is that as they are here, they are equally recruiting more, more hands to join them. So that is why it's worrisome. I said that we interrogate and we see these kinds on a daily basis. And what we see is actually worrisome, because a lot of youngsters are getting involved on a daily basis. They are recruiting underaged. They are recruiting those that they know that we cannot, prosecute or somehow, But having the arms of the law, whatever thing anybody does at the end of the day, have to face the consequences. So that is why all hands must be on deck for us to be able to fight this cause. So next. I wonder why this video is not playing. Okay. So let's. So the issue, the story behind this is actually, I talked about that Yahoo boys are in Nigeria are recruiting youngsters, and our young generations, are seeing this as normal thing because some of them believe that you can equally go to school and study on how to be a Yahoo boy or Yahoo girl. That is their belief. Because I mean, the sensitization is not there, the education is not there. Most people are not well informed, about this activity. What they see is activities of the cyber criminals, brandishing, wealth, posh cars, and all
Why
the
you come up for
rest.
house?
Now because my mama no dey give me food.
Your mama no dey give you food.
If I follow her work, you no go give me money. Complain go say make I dey go where I dey go find money.
What about your daddy?
My daddy there.
Your daddy dey. Shey ever since you don't come up for house, they don't look for you before.
They don't call you come find but me I no agree.
Why you no want go back home?
Because if I go back home, they go suffer me for there.
You want go school?
Yes.
You want make your life better?
Yes.
What do you want become?
Yahoo boy.
Just at the
So you can see it's actually not funny because this little boy believes that you can actually study on how to go to school to become a Yahoo boy. I've personally interviewed, one or two kids like this, and they told me same story that they want to go to school to study how to be Yahoo boy. So it's actually a very big problem, and as I said, all hands must be on deck for us to be able to fight this. Can you play this little girl?
What do you say I should buy for you?
A laptop.
Laptop. Laptop. What do you want to use it for?
Yahoo.
Yahoo. You want to use that? You want to start doing Yahoo? So who now taught you?
Amara.
Amara.
So it looks funny, but this is actually what is going on in the society now. So for tech partners, law enforcement, and other partners, we will really need to do a lot to be able to, reorientate our people on the dangers of becoming a cyber criminal at the end of the day. As I said, if you go to, even they have association of Yahoo parents somewhere in Warri now. And one of the suspects were arrested one time. When I interrogated the suspect and I asked him, 12 years old boy, he said, I said, what motivated you? For him, he said he had no interest, but the mother bought laptop and took him to a Yahoo boy to train him. So, and as I said, we have a lot of, we busted some mentorship school in Abuja. And what they do is to recruit young children. They'll train them for 6 months. Then after training them for 6 months, they will work for their master for 6 months. After this, the 1 year, program engagement, they will buy routers, buy laptops, rent accommodation for them, and unleash them. So we got that, and we were able to bust a gang, and some of them, they were all prosecuted, apart from the underage that are about 12 years, 13 years old. So, can this come?
Force Public Relations Officer appeals to Nigerians to discourage mentoring.
So these are the guys, for the mentorship schools. So it's, what they do is to mentor them, to train them. And of course, at the end of the day, they will buy them tools, devices, for them to start their attacks. Okay. Now, let's look at the use and impact of emerging technology in cybersecurity. See, artificial intelligence, advanced threat detection and incident response system, I'm not talking about the impact, and predictive analytics to identify potential vulnerabilities. Now, blockchain, secure transactions, verification to reduce fraud, decentralized systems enhancing data integrity, and cloud computing, scalable secure data storage solutions. Now, you can see in the chart that we have there, and the threat ranking countries by cybercrime threat levels in the world. You can see Nigeria is rated number 5th, number 5 in the whole world. But something came up, when South Africa and we were discussing with tech experts and law enforcement from other countries. It was mainly major tech experts in the world, and of course the issue of Nigeria and Africa came up because I was the only person that represented Africa in that meeting. So an issue came up where they were talking about threat actors, cyber criminals in Nigeria. And I believe that we are not even supposed to be number 5, that we are even supposed to be number 1. So which I challenged them. I make bold to say this. I'm not saying that we don't have cyber criminals in Nigeria. We do. But this ranking is wrong. Let me give you a reason. One is that we don't. Okay, let me ask you. Do you know any known cyber gang in Nigeria? Is there any known cyber gang in Nigeria? Known, that you know. There is none in Nigeria. But I can tell you, if you go to other jurisdictions, like the other countries where they have like the Hot Pit here, or WannaCry, other big cyber gangs, from other countries. So why are they placing Nigeria the 5th? I don't know. It's very difficult, for us to explain. So, and I told them that there is nothing like this. And apart from that, some of the tech companies that I mentioned here, more especially the big tech companies, finds it difficult to assist Africans, Nigerians in our investigations, sharing of information, giving us credible information that can actually help and enable us to go after these major threat actors. One of them that is prominent is the withdrawal of Celebrite in the whole of Africa. So Celebrite is one of the major tools that we use in extraction and analysis. In fact, it's one of the best in the world. We withdrew their services last year, reason not known to anybody. Up till now, we've been battling with that. Because Celebrite Premium is such that if you use it, you can extract from any solution, any handheld devices, and of course it does analysis same time. They were there. They withdrew their services because they want for me, I think they want this to continue, to grow in Nigeria and in the whole of Africa. But apart from that, you will agree with me that other serious tech companies, they have, they see everything, they see of the cyber criminals. And if you write to them for them to help you, to provide or to share information that will enable you to fight this crime, you don't get anything from them. And upon that, they still say that Nigeria, that we are 5th in the whole world. And of course, you agree with me that this statistics is not correct. Can we go to the next class? Now, recently, why I said that this ranking is wrong. Recently, late last year, we busted this gang, this criminal gang in Abuja. So what they do is mainly investment scam, business email compromise, online gaming fraud, and online casino fraud. So what do they use? They use our cyberspace. And they attack only victims from other jurisdictions. They don't attack anybody from Nigeria. So we arrested 113 foreign nationals. What they do is to hack, to do a lot of things on daily basis. So now, tell me, these guys are not Nigerians, and they use our cyberspace on daily basis. Out of which we have 63 Chinese nationals, and we have those of them from Malaysians, we have those from Myanmar, from Russia, and all the rest. Still, they still nicknamed us 5th in the whole world. Can you go? So basically, major thing they do is, please play this operation. Basically, what they do is to create investments. So you can see these are some of the devices covered, from there. Now some of the Nigerians who were arrested over 28 Nigerians. I wouldn't like us to use this slide, please, because I'm not going to give it out. But most of them are still fresh cases. Some of them are still in court. Like this particular case is still fresh in court, and are still all the foreign nationals are still in Kuje as we speak. The 98 of them are in Kuje. So these are all the things we recovered from them. They have drone. You know about Starlink. So we recover Starlink from them. That is what they actually run shift, and that's why I say I will discuss. They run shift. They have bunk beds. Now the interesting thing there is that we have about 28 Nigerians working with them, but those 28 Nigerians do not even know what is actually happening in the house. In fact, the day we picked these guys, they were shocked that they have that number of Chinese personnel, Chinese citizens in that particular building. They were very, very shocked. They never believed that it's possible. A place they work, they don't know that number of cyber criminals are there, terrorizing the whole world. We recovered over 500 foreign SIM cards. We recovered over 300 Nigerian SIM cards. So they can speak any language. That's why they have Russians. They have from Brazilians, some Brazilians. They have from Thai. They have from Malaysia and some other countries. So they use our cyberspace and they use our cyberspace very well. So if an IP is being intercepted in other jurisdictions, they will believe that they are all Nigerians. Nobody will know that they are not Nigerians. So because they believe that Nigeria is like a safe haven for them. During investigations, we discovered that most of them ran away from Dubai. There was serious attack on them by the Dubai police. So because of the porous nature of one or two things in Nigeria, they were able to gain access, rented 4 duplexes in a compound, occupied the whole accommodation and unleashing mayhem, and attacking lots and lots of visitors. So basically what they do is create an investment. The investment will run for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. People will be investing $1 million, $100,000, and all the rest. At the end of the day, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, they will crash the site, create a new site. Because of course you won't have any contact of anybody to ask questions. So it's a huge problem. And when we got this information, we were able to buzz. And during the extraction and analysis of some of the devices we recovered from them, we got credible evidence that will enable us to actually get them convicted. But as we speak, the trial is on. They're still under prison custody. So these are some of the things that we've done to help Nigerians to clear our image and to help victims of cybercrime that are not Nigerians. Okay, so some of the strategy for law enforcement in strengthening cybersecurity and combating financial crimes in Nigeria is to build cyber resilience. Policies, law enforcement must develop capacity to, 1, to prevent, to dictate, and to respond, recover, adapt, and to deter. So these are some of the strategies that enable us to have. So I talked about prevention. Next slide. So just move to collaboration. Now, when I started, I talked about collaboration. The only thing that is going to help us in this country is for us to be able to collaborate. All law enforcement agencies, government establishments should be able to collaborate, including tech partners. Because one thing happened when we arrested the Chinese suspect, the threat actors. We had tech companies in Abuja that were called upon to assist us in the extraction of and analysis of some of the devices. And of course, that services was rendered free, and we got a lot of things. So there is need for us to actually collaborate. When they had the incident of a NIMSI, they called it NIMSI breach. But I can tell you that there was nothing like NIMSI breach. It was reported to the NSA, because when NSA took over, he visited our facility. He spent almost 3 hours going through what we have in the facility. And I can tell you clearly, it's verifiable. The National Cybercrime Center of Nigerian Police Force is the best in Africa. I've gone around almost the 54 countries of Africa, and there is no country in Africa, including South Africa, that can boast of what we have. If you doubt, you can visit Abuja. Yes, I make bold to say. If you doubt, you visit, you see what we have. The National Health Commissioner, NDPC, can attest to that. He visited us. So he spent time, with us, and now saw our capabilities and things that we can do. So when this was reported, he instructed that the case should be channeled to us for us to investigate. So when we started, we did our penetration testing, vulnerability assessment. We discovered that nothing actually happened to NIMSI database. But what happened was, they have agents, and they have third-party agents. So the agents, they have access to NIMSI database. They are the only that have that access. So the third-party agents, what they do is to have access and get the information and do verification that they want. So in doing that, most of the third-party agents, what they do is to harvest. So when they log on, they harvest, they keep. And they are not supposed to do that. It's against the data policy, that we have. So they will do, harvest and keep. And if you ask for verification, maybe to check your NIN or to change this, they still collect your information, they harvest, and they still keep. And some of them that were arrested, they sell this for $4 online. And foreigners were buying it. And they were using it against us. So when we discovered this, and we discovered about 13 illegal domains, and we succeeded in pulling down the 13 illegal domains. And we went after the threat actors. We got all of them that were involved, the third party, and all those that created, that harvested the data that does not belong to them. So as we speak, the DG of NIMSI have actually changed the platform, and she is doing fantastically, very, very well. She's doing excellently well now. And yesterday we were discussing about having BVN, whether BVN is more important than having NIN. And who said, for me, I think the best that happens to us is to have the NIN. NIN is like the social security number of everyone, like other countries, like America that I know. So when you have your social security number, it's linked to everything that you do on a daily basis. So that is the way the NIN is, and the way it's coming to be. I mean, you need to have an account before you have BVN, right? You need to have a passport, international passport, before you have access to the passport number, which is an ID. So if you don't have all this, but as a citizen of Nigeria, you must have your NIN. If you go to bank, they'll ask for your NIN. If you go to hospitals now, they'll ask for your NIN. If you go to register any business, they'll ask for your NIN. So NIN is the most important thing. And of course, we should be able to protect our data. And that's why we have the NDPC chairman doing wonderfully well. So the message is that the NIMSI database was not hacked. We have one young man that claimed that he can produce all the data that is domiciled with NIMSI. So we looked out for this young man in Warri. We called him. Can you come and show us how everything was done? So there was one link, one phishing link he told us that he used. And there is one other thing he said he used, like vulnerability assessment and all this, that he did a vulnerability assessment to be able to have access. And the tools he said that he used is not something that can actually, be used for that kind of activities. So when he told us the tools, we examined and we noticed that the guy lied. We say, okay, we agree with you. You can do A, B, C, D. We want to learn from you. Come, let's discuss. He said we should send 1 million naira. So he wanted to, to scam us. We said, okay, no problem. We generated an alert of 1 million and sent to him. Yes. So when he saw that, he tried to access the money. Because what we wanted to do to see if he can go to the bank and said, I have this alert and I cannot access the money. So that we'll be able to get in. So when we did that, he did not, go to any bank. So at the end of the day, we discovered that the guy lied and he's still running up to now. We've tried to geolocate him several times. After geolocation, today, you see him in a particular area. 2 days, you see him inside the creek. And he's still, being monitored. And we're going to bring him, on board. But the thing there is that NIMSI database is very safe and secure. And all the suspects were arrested. You can see them. And we are still arresting more. All the suspects are arrested. And unfortunately, they sell this NIN. Some they sell for $10, some $4, some $1, to foreigners that uses this. Yesterday, we arrested, day before yesterday, we arrested about 10 individuals. And all of them were asked to open an account by a Chinese man. And the account they opened cannot be accessed by them. So they opened the account, and those people activated, the internet, transaction, how to use it. So they activated it from the back end and logged out the main guy, changed the phone number so that they will be receiving an alert. So the case of First Bank that we discussed, for instance, yesterday, was actually done by that particular individual. The money that he hacked, what he did was to push it to all those federal accounts of these young Nigerians. So one thing they do is you open an account, they'll buy your BVN for 2,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira. So we bought a lot of BVNs from them and used it so it's a very big challenge. And that is why I said that, it's very good for us to be here to share some of these information and to tell you that we can actually work together. If there's any information you can share with the law enforcement, with the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center, we'll be very willing to work with you. What I mean in essence is that if you see those that are using accounts, that are opening accounts, these are little young stars in the villages. If you hear that, please notify us. It's fraud. Some of them will just open the account without knowing the reason, and they pay. They collect their ATM cards and they use it. So we can actually work together to be able to take care of some of this because, they live with us, and in our environment. So now another major issue that happened is the JAM fraud. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board alleged that one Mr. Liu and Pascal Onowu are threat actors behind the falsification of thousands of fake Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board admissions letters for prospective candidates, some of whom are also complicit. It was also alleged that a group of fraudsters, those, look at them, the way arrested, created a phishing website. So you can see they created a phishing website that looks like, a phishing link that looks like that of JAMB. So what they do is that if you activate, if you click the phishing link, it will take you to their own site, not the JAMB site. Now, because there is something for there. They posted that you can actually get the JAMB question paper from that link. They'll promise you, and they'll ask you to pay money. Now, they'll ask you for your name and other private, confidential information. So when you submit that, they'll see use and use it against you. So the case was reported, and we were able to get those that pushed out the phishing links, and as we speak, they are facing court action. So the next quickly. So this is a case of InterSwitch that we handled. They removed over over 45 billion from the InterSwitch platform. And when this case was reported, we did a proper analysis, and the profiling. We were able to identify 32 suspects and 2,000 accounts. So in the 2,000 accounts, we narrowed it to, certain individuals, 12 of them. We ended up picking 12 of them, and among those that we picked was a 24-year-old boy that opened an account using his age, his name, his picture, and within 24 hours, he received 800 million. Within 1 year, this guy got over 7 billion. Now, what good things compliance officers are here. If you don't share information, that is not how we can help victims. A bank saw this. It's supposed to be reported to NFIU and to law enforcement. That was not done. Looking at the guy's profile, a boy of 24 years old, how on earth, if not fraud, would this boy be able to make this kind of money within 1 year? So there is need for collaboration. There is need for compliance officers, financial institutions, and other government agencies, including tech companies, because sometimes we have access through the back end of these informations, and if they are not reported, there is nothing you can do. The case of the guy that used is the case of Flutterwave. So these are some of the recoveries we made. Some of them bought estates in Lagos, in Abuja, Porsche cars, living big. So we recovered over 5 billion for them already, and as I speak, the case is still ongoing. That's why I said we don't need to use this slide. It's just to enlighten us and for us to see that there's need for us to work together and to help victims. So next slide. Next. Okay, this is a case of sextortion, where they lured a young man. What they use voice changing app here, because we're talking about AI. There are lots AI can do, and the only way you can fight is by using AI generated tools to be able to fight this. Use AI voice changing app, to be able to change their features. So they collected a lot of money from the victim, and of course we picked them up, and facing prosecutions. Can we move? Let's move. Next slide. Next. 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 Okay, just quickly. Bank compliance officers' role in combating cybercrime. Fraud detection and prevention, monitoring suspicious transactions through advanced algorithms, implementing know your customers. Some of the fintech companies don't even do this. And that is why, they need to collaborate for us, because if you don't have the KYC, there's nothing we can do to help victims. Collaboration with law enforcement, sharing data on flagged accounts and transactions, assisting in tracking and freezing illicit funds, training and awareness, policy compliance, technology deployment. Let's go to the next slide. So challenges faced by law enforcement in combating cyber and financial crime fraud in Nigeria. Inadequacy of advanced digital forensics tools. For law enforcement, legal hurdles and our operational obstacles. Next slide. Thank you very much. So that address that you can reach us, we have our social media account. Okay, we have it. So you can log on and report your case. We have the e-reporting portal. Any case, you can call this line, send them SMS or WhatsApp messages. Thank you very much for the rapt attention.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, another round of applause. I think that this is very, very key. the hard work that is being done, because this is changing the narrative. If you go outside the shores of Nigeria, right, unfortunately, right, and I know this is part of what, you know, the several ministries actually that are focused on changing this image, right, but unfortunately this is the image that we have, right, and this loses us billions of dollars in partnerships. You know, many of you might look to invite someone down, right, to have a partnership, and they're like, well, I don't think I'm going down, because this is the stories that they hear. So this is so important because it's changing that narrative. And I want to thank you for the work that's been done, the passion that is being used to go after this, the technology that is being used to fight fire for fire, discouraging the next generation from even taking that up, and then also bringing the ecosystem together, right, for that collaborative effort. So I think we're moving on to the session, right, that culminates in all of the end-to-end perspectives that many of us are here for, right? So we're going to be going into the executive panel session. This is securing the future regulatory and cybersecurity challenges for 2025. We'll be looking at trends and what to expect. This is a year, right, that's laden with potential, but also many challenges. Let's be on the right side of that opportunity. It's super exciting because this is a sweeping conversation with many different illustrious experts, right, across that value chain. I think we're going to take it as 3 main sections, right? We're going to look at compliance and navigating that, ensuring that you're thinking about that in 2025. We're going to talk about collaboration, looking at industry titans, right? And from their perspective, in terms of how they fight cybercrime, right? And prevent it. And then we'll look at governance and tax, right? So please, in no particular order, please welcome to the stage this amazing group of individuals and titans, as I said. First up, can we bring back to the stage Dr. Vincent Olatunji. As we know, the National Commissioner and CEO, NDPC. Okay, following up to that is Mr. Ademola Adedoyin, Chief Information Security Officer of the CBN. You're welcome, sir. Following with that is Dr. Mohammed Lawan Ahmed, Director, Cybersecurity Department of NIDA. Thank you very much for being here, sir. Next up, we have Dr. Paulinus Iyika, Head International Tax Compliance, FIRS. You're welcome, sir. Okay, he's not around. All right, can we also welcome back to the stage CP Uche Ifeanyi Henry. Thank you very much, sir. As long as we have you captive here, we're going to get as much as possible. Okay, joining him, please, can we have Feyi Jimmy Adewale, CISO and DPO, Coronation Merchant Bank. Can I also have some help just moving the lectern as well so that we can view all of our speakers? Thank you. Okay, we'll also be calling up Mr. Femi Aremu, Information Security, Program Management, Governance and Compliance, Unity Bank. Thank you very much for coming, sir. And representing Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu San, who is the chairman, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, we have Mr. Yahaya Shiwu. Thank you very much. Okay, and last but not least, we have Dr. Harrison Neji, Chief Information Security Officer, First Bank. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, I wanted to start with, just dive in as quickly as possible. So let's start with Mr. Yahaya from ICPC. So following, of the insights that came from the CP, right? What measures has the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission implemented to ensure compliance, right, with these data protection regulations? And in what ways are you collaborating with other regulatory bodies and private sector entities to address the increasing complexity of cyber threats?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me make it clear that just as the Nigerian police, the ICPC is a law enforcement agency. We do work closely with the regulatory agencies, but our first primary duty is law enforcement. And I must say, I would like to give say a big thank you to Commissioner of Police, because he broadly outlined the challenges being faced by law enforcement in addressing these issues. Our mandates are slightly different, but we deal with the same, largely the same problems. And for the ICPC, our mandate is that of ridding the country of corruption and other corrupt practices, which we try to do largely through lawful enforcement and preventive measures. But like most of the speakers have said, the way people conduct businesses, people relate, is largely being shaped by current development in technology, which is advancing at a very fast pace. Now, realizing that a few years back, the ICPC has set up a computer security and forensic division, which is complementing other law enforcement measures the ICPC has in place. But just like the Nigerian police mentioned, there are certain challenges. We are facing the same challenges. He mentioned the withdrawal of services by Celebrite and all that. I am pleased to know that this is a gathering of business leaders and technology providers. I think it's a huge challenge for them to step in, because most of the tools we use in our law enforcement investigations are largely procured from outside the country. These come at a cost, and sometimes even when you have the money to pay for them, they are not available. So it's a huge challenge to our experts to come in and fill in the gap that is being created, as it were.
That's really interesting, and I really like that you piggybacked off what the CP said, because that commonality of, understanding that the problem is that fast advance of technology that is not far away, but literally right on our shores, and now making technology a key weapon, right, for monitoring and also enforcing, right. I think that really shows that appetite to make sure there's impact. Right, and then I think you also mentioned collaboration, and that's the same thing that the CP has also mentioned, because sometimes, not only, as you've mentioned, in terms of even building and reducing cost of the tools that we use, but even also being able to integrate into systems that give, pre-warning of some of these things. That connection really needs to be there. I just really wanted to follow that up, quickly in terms of with Dr. Vincent. So in terms of, when you think about 2025, right, and you think about, cybersecurity and how it's evolving, right, many of the people here, right, they come from different kinds of, organizations. So some of this can be at the preventative stage. If you take the right compliance, right, a lot of these issues, a lot of times, right, can be mitigated. So how can, organizations really ensure, right, that they drive the right thinking around compliance, right, and protection regulations? And then the last thing I would ask is, because you've been innovating quite quickly, right, over the last year, what does 2025 look like from a regulatory perspective as well?
Thank you very much. As I said during my presentation, all data controllers and processors or business organizations should have it at the back of their mind that there is no escape from putting in place measures, adequate measures for security, since we do almost everything online. So it should be part of us, part of our culture, to see security as a key component of our business plans and put in place appropriate measures. It won't come cheap. You need to build capacity, you need to deploy technologies, you need to comply with the provisions of the law. And as well, as I mentioned in my presentation, a lot of things that we need to put in place to ensure proper compliance with the provisions of the law. Now, looking at the area of privacy and the year 2025, what we've been doing since we started, we gave enough time for awareness, for people to properly understand that now in Nigeria we have a law in the area of data protection, and for people to know the content of the law, what they need to do in terms of compliance. We've forgotten a lot of training workshops, awareness campaigns, and part of what we are doing here today. What we're seeing going forward is proper enforcement. As I said, we only issued one fine last year. We'll see more of that coming to play this year, because we'll give enough notice to data controllers and processors to ensure that they put in place measures. So if there are obvious breaches, we won't be shy away from announcing the breaches and the penalties that will go with them. No matter the kind of business you do or any sector that belong to, we need to really come out strongly now and enforce the law. So enforcement will be top on the agenda this year, and we hope organizations will raise it up, comply with the provisions of the law to avoid being caught in the web. Thank you.
So as I mentioned last time, right, you've made it quite easy, right, to be on the right side of that compliance. So I just wanted to move that along as well. So to Dr. Mohammed, right? So I mean, NITDA, right, is at the forefront of bridging that gap in innovation, right, in compliance, in the use of technology, right, and the right policies. So, how can organizations, from your perspective, right, start ensuring compliance? I mean, thinking from a regulatory requirements perspective, well, how does NITDA see this?
Thank you for having me. NITDA is a regulatory agency, as you know. Our main mandate is to ensure regulations and compliance. So to ensure this compliance, there are a lot of requirements. And some of the few requirements that I can mention here, for example, as mentioned by my director and my boss, Dr. Vincent, who was the pioneer of this data protection and regulation, which was established by NITDA in 2019, yes. So one of the things, ensure data protection and privacy. And to do this, you need to ensure that access control, or the CAI triad of cybersecurity, is maintained. So access control mechanism, the user authentication protocols, as well as the mechanism to encrypt data, whether data is in transit or at rest, so that if someone tries to access data, it's not going to be accessible. So you need to identify the type of encryption algorithm that you need based on the type of sensitivity of the data. Also, you need to ensure that you protect the personal data of not only the individual, also the organization, and also third party, as mentioned by CP Uche, the issue of the NIMC data breach. So you see the issue of even third party need to be considered. And another requirement that need to be considered is the issue of risk management. I think like in the banking sector, they have what they call risk-based cybersecurity framework, which mandated the banks to have a CISO. So these risks can be also, there are different kind of management, risk management schemes, whether you want to accept the risks or you want to transfer the risk or you want to mitigate the risks. So you need to identify your asset and decide what kind of risk management system you need. Other issue also, as mentioned by CP, is the issue of incident response planning and reporting. If you have a team like CSAT team, Computer Incident Response Team, like in Nigeria we have many of them, and you need to have how to manage that CSAT team, whether you have the right team within the organization to handle incident, or you outsource it to other maybe sector-related CSAT. For example, in Nigeria at large, we have the national SAT under the ONSA, National Office of National Security Advisor to the President, NGSAT, which is the national SAT. And then various sectors have their own CSAT, like in NIDA. We have SAT mainly for the public sectors, and like NCC for the telecoms, they have NCC SAT. For the police, they have NCCC. So if you don't have the team, the right team to handle the incident, you need to outsource it to other sector-related CSAT. And we have also private SAT and security operation centers in Nigeria, like CyberSOC, CyberDome, and so on. So you can do that with the private sectors as well. Another thing is we need to, one of the requirements is actually the governance and accountability, because you need to have ensure accountability. And I think it's part of the requirement that the CBN risk-based cybersecurity framework mandated or authorized all the banks to employ, to have chief information security officer, CISO. So one of the things is you need to ensure responsibility and accountability. And to do that also you need to, maybe if you don't have the right resources, you can utilize the private sectors, like maybe Smartcomply, where I believe they have automated tools like GRC, where you document all your process. And when you do that, you also want to ensure proper auditing, that to make sure that you are in compliance with the requirement. This is compliance check. So this auditing involves checking all the processes that you have, and you can do it internally. We call it internal auditing. And then you can also assign experts, you engage them to do an external auditing to make sure that you're in compliance with all the requirements, because non-compliance can lead to penalties, as mentioned by Dr. Vincent. I think it's 2% of your annual revenue. So you have to make sure that that compliance has been checked by expert to make sure you are in line and aligned with the compliance. Thank you.
Yes, 2% is not to be frowned upon. But I really, this is pretty comprehensive, right? And sometimes, as you said, there's no excuse, right? You can bring this, you can bring this internal, right? Bring the right team, right? Bring the right tools. And then there's also external options, right? Especially for SMEs and people who may not be able to do that, but are not left out, right? And this is one of the really great things, right, about being brought together by, a forward-thinking company like Smartcomply, right? What you were saying about, at the algorithmic level, right? And one of the great things is that their tools can actually scan at the algorithmic level, the testing stages, so your pen stages, all of that, the code base, right, to actually flag instances where you're, potentially breaching, right, or potential breaches can come in. You have your, compliance audit summaries, right, that can be done automatedly. So for many of the organizations that are here, right, and thinking, how do I make sure 2% is not something that I'm staring down, right? There are the tools, and that's why you're here with leaders like Smartcomply. So just really quickly, I wanted to take this to you, sir. So Mr. Ademola. So, obviously the CBN, right? you are one of the, key institutions, right, when it comes to setting the pace for, key industries like the financial sector. And a lot of the breaches that are happening are really happening within that sector. So, how do you speak to that role, right, of, say, maybe the CISO, right, or, CBN, right? How do you balance, compliance, but also with security, but also with innovation? Like, how do you think around that for many of the organizations, large and small here?
Thank you very much. And to the organizers, Smartcomply, thank you for having us for this interaction. I would say CBN is in a peculiar situation. Yes, CBN is a regulator, but one way or the other, CBN is also a major player, especially in the financial sector. Take, for example, the national payment system is purely technology driven and is being hosted by CBN. So we enforce, we provide the regulation, we enforce, and we also comply with our own regulation. So talking about compliance with security, most organizations, or if not all organizations, I know they have the compliance officer, they have the data protection officer, they have the chief information security officer. I don't know how these three roles work together in organization, but what I will be saying is that these three roles, yes, they look separated, but in actual fact, they need to work together. They need to collaborate. Take, for example, as a CISO, before we appointed the DPO in the Central Bank of Nigeria, I don't have much visibility into all regulation that Central Bank of Nigeria has to comply with. But immediately we have a DPO, we have to work together to identify all those regulations that we have to comply with, especially coming from the data protection now. And then it is then boils down to my responsibility that I have to build controls, security controls. When the CEO for the NDP was making presentation, he listed some of those things control that you have to put in place. It now falls on me as the CISO to implement those controls. So we can say that there is no way I can work in isolation. And me, I'm deploying security to protect those controls. I'm not doing it from just for doing it sake and fulfilling my role as a CISO, but I'm doing it to protect the organization from being penalized by the data protection agency from paying such fine, because if we fall short, we also go to pay fine. So I will say emphatically that the role of collaboration within organization has to be at the top notch. And also another area which I want to delve into, which many organizations as play less on, is the issue of third-party risk management. If you look at you as an organization, you may put all the control in place not to have data breaches, but how about the organization you are sharing data with? And even reports have shown that for organizations, most of their issues with falling victim of data privacy come from the third party they share data with. So this goes to that you have to have an insight into what your third party, they are using the data you are sharing with them, they are using the data for. And this comes also to the issue of SLA. How robust is your SLA with your third party? How do you monitor those SLA? For the Central Bank of Nigeria, all this has been highlighted in the risk-based cybersecurity framework that has been issued. We just hope that organizations are compliant to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Yes, please. So just, I wonder if you want to, piggyback and add a little bit more to that, Dr. Harrison. So obviously as the CISO for First Bank, right? This is, pretty heavy on your mind as well, right? But learning from, a bank like First Bank, what can we take away when we're thinking about, doing this kind of thing at the level of a First Bank?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Okoroji. I'm actually representing Dr. Harrison and Najim. So riding on my regulators, basically he spoke about third-party compliance because that's a major area of risk for the financial sector. Um, the banking sector being very regulated started pretty much earlier in terms of adoption of standards and of course implementing those standards to measurable maturity. But when you look at implementing controls, so those standards speak to specific controls that must be in place. But then when it comes to the supply chain, there's a lot of interrelationship with third parties, and you find out that irrespective of how much you have done, your supply chain then becomes a huge risk. And I think that's why he had mentioned about the third parties. So today, riding from the CBN risk-based cybersecurity framework, which also speaks a lot about your supply chain and how to ensure that you are as strong as you are in the whole chain of security, speaking to third parties. So that framework speaks about SLAs with third parties, speaks about also being able to carry out due diligence on third parties to ensure that the entire ecosystem is as strong as possible. Because without that, you find out that you might be implementing all the controls and then something happens at a third party and then it has a major impact on you. And most times you see there's trust relationship between organizations, especially those third parties. They have access, they have, even accounts, and of course physical access to even the environment. And if that is not properly managed, it becomes a very big area of risk for organizations. So a lot is being done in that regard. The risk-based framework speaks to continuous assessment of your third parties, ensuring that you carry out due diligence, and of course you continue to review and then do a lot of sensitization. And I know the regulators have been following up with that, with the NDIC and the CBN annual evaluation of those, controls to ensure that banks are keeping abreast with the demands. So I think I just wanted to focus on the area because basically I think most of the areas, especially in terms of cybersecurity and its challenges, have been mentioned by the CP. And it's a big issue, not just in Nigeria, but globally. And of course, Nigeria is battling with its own beat of trying to stay abreast and on top of the issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so I want to move a little bit more towards, the growing threat of, cybersecurity, right? So I think one of the key things that we're going to be seeing in 2025, right, is this growing need to really push back on that. So Mr. Yahaya, right, I wanted to just, because I know that you need to catch a flight, so I just wanted to just, from the point of view of the ICPC, right, and when you think about the projected growth in Nigeria's own cybersecurity market, right, it's expected to reach about 230 million in a couple of years. How are you adapting, right, towards, from a technology perspective, because you mentioned technology being a key part of your strategy. So how are you adapting your strategies towards this?
If I get your question, you want to know how we are leveraging on to security division. We're extensively trying to deploy their capabilities in what we do, because like I said, the cyberspace is increasing, and as technology takes over most of what we do, those who want to take advantage of it to commit crimes are also very adept in taking advantage of that opportunity. So we need to keep pace with them. So we are increasingly developing the capabilities of our operatives in that particular division to support, because it's really a support unit to do what the other main divisions are doing in executing the mandate of the commission. And like I said, one of the handicaps, one of the drawbacks, one of the challenges, what the CP mentioned, the ability of this division, these specialists, to really get the specialized tools they need to do their job. And like I said, most of these things we get them from outside the country, and this challenge of some of these vendors withdrawing from our space and all that, and the need for us to look for alternatives. So there's a challenge of funds, there's a challenge of availability of tools, but we cannot go any other way. We must go forward. We must continue to leverage on technology to do what we do. I give you an example. Though the case is still in court, there is this troubling problem of harassment, sexual harassment in our higher institutions and all that. And there's this popular Don who was being investigated and all that. One of the breakthrough we got in that case is through the deployment of technological tools. And we're able to uncover, I don't want to say much because the case is sub judice, much of the evidence that is being used to prosecute him right now was what we were able to get from his devices. And some of those tools are now not readily available. So, but we are pushing forward, looking for alternatives to continue the same path, because there's no other way to go if we must effectively discharge our duties.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's clear that the right steps are being taken, but there's also an opportunity for local innovation to step in to support what the ICPC is doing. So that's a gauntlet that's been thrown out to many here, right? To partner, and that's part of that collaboration that's needed, right, to take us much further. So I just want to thank you very much. Please, Mr. Yahaya, representing Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, and Chairman, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. Thank you very much for being with us. I know you have to leave to catch a flight. So please, round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We just have a quick award for you before you go. Thank you. As we said, this is to celebrate and to highlight the collaborative spirit and the innovation that our regulators are ably enforcing to push these issues forward. Okay, so as I said, cybersecurity, right, is one of the biggest threats, right? We're increasingly seeing bigger numbers, right? So a couple of, $100,000 here and there have now gone all the way up, to millions of dollars, right? And this is a local problem that is going to increase, right? And we've got the first line of defense right here in this room. Right, so I wanted to ask, just to put this back to you, sir, to the CP, right? So I think collaboration is one of the most important things, right, that has been mentioned. So just a little bit of understanding, right, about how you see that collaboration between law enforcement and financial institutions, right, in tracking, because you mentioned it towards the end of your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. It's actually the responsibility of a Nigerian police force to enforce all laws and, of course, to investigate and prosecute offenders. And in doing that, we cannot handle this alone. We still need to work with other relevant agencies. And talking about collaboration, it's key. We need to work with, including tech partners and other relevant partners to be able, to achieve success in whatever thing that we're doing. I talked about Celebrite, withdrawing their services from Nigeria. And I believe that we'll have big tech companies in Nigeria that can actually provide an alternative to that particular issue. It's not only relying on external help, most times. The local content, we should be able to actually work together to find solutions, tools that can actually enable us to, to push on and to navigate. So collaborating with, tech partners, as I said before, it's key and, very, very important. Another thing is awareness. Creating awareness is very important. And it's not something that we can leave for government alone. We can actually create platforms through which we can use and create a very good awareness, and of course on how victims can be safe online. Whether you like it or not, collaboration is the key thing that we need to do. Because as advancements in technology, it's going on, on daily basis, we still need to, to upscale whatever thing that we are doing. And I mentioned during my presentation, we decided to showcase some of the successes we recorded. It was very, very intentional so that we can gain the trust and for you to know that we have such capabilities and we can actually help victims. And there is no other way we can do it other than working with you. You invited us here and we're just showcasing, some of our successes. We have one of our partners, Mr. Nii. Nii is here. Nii helped us, being one of the tech, guys that have been helping us out, our National Cybercrime Center to achieve a lot. So whatever we call him, he's always very handy to help. Now the question is, other tech partners, are they ready to collaborate? Are they ready and willing to work with law enforcement? Are they ready and willing to make sure that we help victims of cybercrime in Nigeria? Having the tech, you have the solutions. Most times, if you call on some of the big tech companies for little help, you find it difficult for them to share information. Because through the back end, as I said before, and I still maintain it, all the tech companies, the major tech companies in the world, they have the back end. They see all these crimes going on. They see what you do online, using their devices, using their solutions, using their tools. So a cyber criminal cannot just attack a portal or a domain without first of all using an exploit. So if that is not, how do you protect it? How do you, how do you work with your tech? You might have the best technology on earth. If you don't have the tech officers, the trained tech officers that will man the technologies, it's useless. So if you visit some of our banks, you visit some of our institutions, you see very good, tools and solutions. But at times you see and you won't see, good hands, experts handling those things. So these are things that I believe that tech partners and other, partners can actually help to bridge that gap. If you have the tech and you don't have the manpower, can equally assist, just the way, Nii is assisting us to do one or two things. I believe collaboration, sensitization,
I agree.
awareness is a great way to go. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you so much for that. Collaboration. And obviously, your organization obviously is very much reachable for many of the organizations here who need to reach out. Okay, so for me, right, we mentioned how cybersecurity threats are one of the biggest things, right, for this year, but they're increasingly becoming sophisticated. So I wanted to ask from, the point of view of, Coronation Merchant Bank, right? How from your strategic role, right, as a CISO, how do you look at mitigating these financial crimes and protecting data integrity?
Thank you very much. First off, I want to thank Smartcomply for this excellent, impressive. It's good to be in a gathering with colleagues, coaches, mentors, and friends, and to be counted among this panel of visionaries and luminaries in their respective field is quite an honor, so thank you very much. As to your question, it's not just in my role in Coronation. I think every compliance, data privacy, cybersecurity leader has the same issue, right? How do you contend with these current threats that are both increasing in sophistication and frequency? How do you deal with the aftermath of these effects that can cripple an organization reputationally, financially, and otherwise? I mean, one attack can drive 1,000 employees home for the foreseeable future in a very uncertain economic climate sometimes. So there are three things I have adopted, and personally, they are not just my mantra. They are things that we've discussed in the industry. We've discussed them as CISOs in other security forums. And I think the first thing is everybody has to be a strategic leader. That means that these people responsible for compliance, data privacy, regulatory updates, they need to have a proactive mindset. It's not about just leading the change, it's anticipating the change. They need to inject themselves in every conversation around the business, around the organization, to ensure that while business objectives are being prioritized, areas around cybersecurity, areas around data privacy, areas around compliance, to address these business objectives are also being considered. The second thing is something that came up both with Dr. Vincent's presentation, keynote, and the CP's keynote. It was constant. You have to, this is one of those cases where you have to fight fire with fire. Right? In fact, I have the quote from the CP. It says you cannot investigate tech without being a tech expert. You have AI-powered attacks. You need to get AI-powered defense. Across, considering AI as an amplifier, you need to look at how can AI amplify your processes and your people. Are there processes that will benefit from automation to give you increased value at a shorter turnaround time? Are there technologies that you can bring in, things like predictive analysis, as we saw in the CP's presentation, that allow you evaluate, assess, modify your strategies in real time before a breach comes in? Are there technologies you can use to assess an incident before it happens, so that that window between an incident and a breach, you are actually able to adjust your controls and your processes to either mitigate the incident or limit its effect? Do you have realistic simulations for your people, which AI now gives you? Are you able to give them a realistic simulation of how to recognize and respond to incidents? So AI has to be brought to the game. Automation has to be brought to the game. And that's one of the reasons I like Smartcomply. They have those two keywords in their value offerings. The third thing is, unfortunately, what resulted in 9/11, the lack of collaboration between internal regulators. I think Dr. Vincent just said something about it, and my central CISO also said something about it. You have these three areas, these three functions in an organization, but sometimes they do not collaborate. So you have the people driving compliance, you have people driving data privacy, and you have cybersecurity doing their own thing. Another good reason why you have Smartcomply. Everything is centralized, everything is focused, and it allows you evaluate in one platform how these changes affect everything. And so these people can come together and create one adaptive dynamic response to issues happening in the industry and hopefully keep the organization out of the news and their employees happy and stakeholders profitable, which is what we want. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think having that holistic view, right, across the entire value chain, right, compliance, cybersecurity is really, really key, and makes your job a lot easier as well. So I just wanted to quickly look at, from a governance perspective, right? So, Mr. Femi, when you look at, cybersecurity governance, right? What would you say are steps that organizations should take to align their information security and compliance strategies, right, to be more effective from a governance perspective?
Okay, thank you. My name is Femi Aremu. I'm representing CISO Unity Bank, who is not available at the moment. Okay, so from governance perspective, as you said, what are things organizations should do? They've spoken to supply chain attacks. I don't know, zero-day attacks, ransomware as a service. So what can we do to balance compliance to cater to that? The thing is that risk assessment, risk management is very prominent. We need to be able to put in place processes that identify risk, that assesses and rank them appropriately around especially our digital assets. Because we need to be able to identify the processes these assets manage and apply controls accordingly that will take care of the threats around these assets. After that, we want to do continuous monitoring. We want to ensure that we have visibility around threats that could come to attack our assets. We want to ensure that we are able to do incident reporting responsibly. For instance, regulators from time to time, they require that you turn in your reports if you have fraud-related events. You want to do that to show that you are transparent and that you are managing the trust given to you by the public responsibly. And equally, you want to ensure that your processes align with the overall objective of the organization. You want to ensure that the strategy from cybersecurity align with that of the business. And equally, you want to position yourself as a business enabler too. You want to be seen as not a cost center, but a value-adding center. You want to be seen not just as technical process center. You want to be seen as somebody that adds value to the whole business objective of the organization. And equally, another thing you could do from governance perspective is to ensure that the whole architecture of identification, protection, detection, response, and recovery, you could be able to manage that perfectly. I think those are the steps you would need to take.
Thank you so much. I think we'll have to agree that this session is power packed, right? And there's so much that we need to unpack, and we can do that for many more hours. But there's been so much across the entire value chain that has been shared for this. I think that we would have done some Q&A, but I think what we're going to do is obviously, we'll be able to connect with the speakers as we go along after this. But we just wanted to, there's so much has been said, right, about having that one platform that can support many of the organizations here, right? So what we wanted to do is have a quick demo, right, of that particular tool, right? So we would love for our illustrious panel to please just stay on stage. So just for a quick 10-minute demo. So we'll be calling up a couple of the Smartcomply team for this product showcase. This will be showcasing Smartcomply and one of their products, Adhere, right? So, okay, so we have Amara Ajala, VP of Engineering, Olushola, Product Manager, Opeyemi, Head of Compliance, and of course, Valerie, Chief Operations Officer of Smartcomply. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amara, and you can also call me Anita. So I'll be very quick with this. I also have two of my colleagues that will come and say one or two things. So first, I'm just going to start with a very brief history on of why we started Smart Comply, and that was 2021. I clearly because I think one of the major things, or what I would say was was to automate compliance. We saw that was one of the very first goal. We had a whole lot of compliance problems. It was so manual. There was a whole lot of issues here and there, documents that were passed, maybe through emails and all that. And we were like, okay, how are we going to solve this compliance problem, or automate it in a way that is easy and is faster? And we thought about Smartcomply Secure. So please, can you go to the next slide? Yes. I think this. No, it's fine. Please go to the fourth slide. The next one. Yes. So we have a number of products. We have 5 products. We have the Smartcomply Secure, which speaks to the compliance part of it, the things that has to do with the cybersecurity part of it. We have the Adhere, which talks about the fraud monitoring, the identity verification, the AML, KYC. And then we also have the Smartcomply Intel. So the Smartcomply Intel is specifically for threat intelligence. So it gives you vital information that has to do with threat intelligence. And this you can see here was the very version 1 of Smartcomply Secure. If you've used the platform, you can go to secure.smartcomply.com. You can actually create a free account and do 1 or 2 things. And you could also request for a demo from the platform, and then I'll get to explain many more of these things for you. So this is the very first thing we had initially. You can see how it is. And when I see this, I have a whole lot of excitement because we've grown so much within a short period of time. And every code here, and I will say it, I don't know why, but I'm very proud of this because I was among the people that wrote the very first codes for this. But now we've grown, solving more and more problems, automating processes. We get feedbacks from clients. If there's anything we can use to make your life simpler, and we can do it, we are certainly going to do it. So this is what we are trying to do. This is what we are trying to offer to make compliance very seamless and easy. I would even say, I think some of our clients do compliance as you could do it like 3 weeks. That's how much this helps. So you go straight to the point, the processes, you have your pen test, you have your PCI, everything just very seamless for you in one platform. You don't need to do it through any other platform. And then the security is actually ensured. So just very fast, I would like to invite the head of product, Shola, to speak briefly on Smartcomply Secure.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anissa. Hello, everyone. My name is Shola, and I will be speaking very briefly on the secure application. Now, the secure application actually provides a very comprehensive compliance solution that is able to help you achieve your compliance very seamlessly. And it provides all of these relevant industry standards and regulatory requirements that you are able to implement within your organization. And one of these compliance standards is the NDPR, and under this, we are also able to ensure that we assist with the registration for your data data controller or data processor. And also, we have some of these other modules that you are able to leverage on. We have the onboarding, which actually addresses people vulnerabilities. So you are able to seamlessly onboard your employees, and then you are able to equip them with the necessary information when it comes to data protection and data security within your organization. We also have the security scans, right? Which also provides all of these security scans that you are able to conduct. We have the infrastructure scans, we have the PCI scans, we have the penetration tests, which you are able to request on the platform. We have the API compliance, which you are also able to leverage on. Also, the code-based security scans. I mean, we have all of these tools that you are able to use within the platform, and is able to report on any of the vulnerabilities that you have within your environment to ensure that you can remediate them in time. And we also have the risk assessment, right? The risk management feature. We used to have a very, very miniature tool, but based on popular requests and demands, we had to expand on it to ensure that we address every issues as it relates to all of the business units that you have within your environment. And also we have the vendor assessment, right, which helps you handle third-party risks. So you are able to conduct your vendor due diligence, and you are also able to their security implementations and compliance over time. And yes, all of these, we are able to report on them on the platform. And on the overview, you get a very brief analysis and summary, which allows you to identify your current security posture. And at every point in time, you are able to ensure that you follow necessary activities to maintain a good cybersecurity standing. And if you also need more information on this, you can always reach out to us, and we'll be happy to provide a private demo, or maybe give you some more information that would help you understand the product better. Thank you very much. I'll be handing over to Anita now.
Thank you, Shola. So that's for the Smartcomply Secure. So for the Adhere, I'll just briefly speak on the Adhere. So the Adhere is an API-based fraud monitoring system. What happens is that you get to connect through your platform to that. So it has the capability of doing behavioral analysis. When the CP was speaking, he spoke something about someone getting about 800 million in 24 hours. And for a change in behavior. So what the model has been trained to do, so we are continually training this model. And the more transaction that a company has, the more precise this model can be. So for all this behavioral analysis or all these mismatching behaviors, this is very ready to pick it out and to flag it for your further verification, or for you to take further actions. Then we also have the rule-based transaction monitoring that is also available, and also the transaction screening. And very in-depth, the KYC AML part of it is very in-depth, whereby you get to access a number of sanction lists, a number of PEP lists, in case you want to verify a number of people, maybe while you're doing identity verification. All these are available using the Adhere platform. And then there are actually so much more that is available in the Adhere. I can't speak on all of them here, but if you want to get more information, you can go to adhere.smartcomply.com. So that will give you further information on that. Now we're going to threat intelligence. So there are lots of things, or there are lots of threats that happen. The cyberspace is a very, permit me to use now, a very crazy place now. And a whole lot of things are happening, a whole lot of occurrences. So using threat intelligence, and the good thing about it, when you use multiple products, maybe when you have an account on Secure, you can actually merge this into your information right in your account. Any threat that speaks to your account, maybe there's a black in the black market or anything, and there's an information that is sold about your company, we actually have an analyst that checks for all these things, and you will be flagged that there's a certain problem, and we can go further to solve it. You have the ability to use data leakage, your brand protection. You have the attack surface to give you very specific information for your own company, and you can set keywords. Maybe there are specific things you're looking for your own company. you want to be specific, so you don't have a lot of information, because there are lots of information. And you can actually specify it to get that information at every point in time. And then the final one, this is just the conclusion, will be on academy. There has been a talk around training, cyber training, and all that. Just in 30 seconds, please, can I have Tito just speak on it in 30 seconds?
Thank you so much for that, Anita. So I will introduce myself. My name is Tito Adeoye. I'm the front-end team lead at Smartcomply. So I'll be introducing you to one of our products in our product suite called Smartcomply Academy. So in this era where digital assets are the lifeblood of companies, it is so important to have a very stable and secure cybersecurity posture. So Smartcomply, as usual or as expected, a leading cybersecurity and regulatory compliance company, will partner with you on this. Please, can you move on to the next slide? No, the one before. The one after. Yeah, so the one before. Yeah, so Q Smartcomply Academy. So as it says on the slide, Smartcomply Academy bridges the gap in compliance training by offering high quality accredited courses at accessible rates. So we have partnered with the American Accreditation Association, so to accredit our certificate. So unlike traditional options that are often costly or lack accreditation, especially in markets like Nigeria, we are able to officially provide recognized courses. So our courses are not, our courses not only deliver essential knowledge, but also validate it with globally recognized certifications. Now, when we were building, or when we started building this product, our key goal, or a part of, or an integral part of our goal at the time, was to train and to educate. So that was what we were able to do with Academy. And at the time, we had Smartcomply Secure, where we did have trainings, we had video content, course content, but we wanted something more comprehensive, something more robust. So that was how we came up with Smartcomply Academy. And if you go on our page, academy.smartcomply.com, one of the key categories on that page is awareness training. Could you move on? Awareness training. So we have courses like the data protection awareness. So I believe we can all agree that awareness and education is so important when, just in general, especially when accessing your data or protecting your data. So I'm going to give an instance on an individual level. Let's assume, well, the key part is that no knowledge is too much when it comes to cybersecurity. So let's assume someone that knows about phishing attacks. The person is not going to receive a mail that just happens to be in their spam box. Click on it, and then they are being told you can get this gift card from maybe someone that they seem to know, or some obscure person in some obscure part of the world, and then they click on it, and they just happen to be told to provide their personal information, like their name, their BVN, their NIN. So when you know this, you are not going to be clicking on links like that. So moving on. So we did not want to just train just for the certificate. We wanted something globally recognized. And that is, I think we have showed that by partnering with the AAA. So we wanted to build something of quality, like courses that are vetted by esteemed and accredited professors and esteemed cybersecurity professionals. So these are some of our courses. Please go back to the previous slide. So these are some of the courses that we have. We have the data protection awareness course, secure coding training, and fundamentals of cybersecurity for beginners, and ISMS foundational training. So I'm sure you can see that we do have some beginner courses. I mean, a part of our target audience is cybersecurity professionals that want to up their game, but it is also open to people that want to learn or people that want to start. For instance, a CEO, you've put in so much effort, right, into your products. You have
you have put your blood, sweat, and tears. I think this is like the minimum that you should maybe put your non-technical so they can learn, right? So your company is not destroyed just from someone clicking a link, just like the example I gave before. So I think this is a testament of how far Smartcomply would go to keep you and yours secure. So I think that will be all. So my presentation is short, but I hope it was impactful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I think it's clear the passion that Smartcomply brings to the market. Just to say, if you want any information on any of those things and more that has been mentioned, you can go to smartcomply.com right now. You know, I think from ease of use, you know, KYC, AML, these are not, you know, very cheap things usually, right? And to have all of that in one place, right, for any organization at any size, that's amazing. Automated compliance, automated threat intelligence, and then, of course, the academy, making sure from leadership all the way down, right, to the last employee, everybody understands, right, the key things that can really stop cybersecurity at the gate. All right. Okay. So thank you so much to everybody, you know, in the room. It's really amazing to see, you know, all of the skill and all of the knowledge that's in this room, right? And thank you again to the illustrious panel of speakers. We wanted to give just maybe 1, 2, or 3 questions quickly to the panel, right? So just allow anybody, if they've got a question, we're just, you know, for time, just going to allow about 2, right? And then just to the panel, we do have some awards that we do want to give to each of you just to, you know, celebrate how passionate, I have to say, and how you're changing the narrative at a critical time. And then, of course, after that, we have lunch and networking for everybody. So please just, we'll probably just take about 2 questions. I see one hand that's been up here. Thank you very much. Can we get another hand quickly so that we move? And this is for the panel, please. So just let us know your name, where you work, and then who this question would be for.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Smartcomply. Thank you to the panelists and to the keynote speakers. My name is Wale Ayuba. I work with Active Edge Technologies. My question particularly goes to the keynote speakers. That's Dr. Olatunji, and then one to the CP. Thank you so much for that elaborate lecture that you gave us. But I'm a bit concerned about when we speak about the adoption of artificial intelligence in today's business environment, particularly in Nigeria, as it's still being, it's still new and it's still coming in and it's really gaining ground. I'd like to know from the commission, the act that we have now, if there are policies that guide the AI adoption in Nigeria in terms of how businesses are expected to govern the use of artificial intelligence, the use of the data sets that are being used for the data models that are being used, things around the way companies are expected to govern the use of artificial intelligence. It would be nice to know if such policies are included in the act.
Okay, and that's to
the Dr. Olatunji.
Okay, should we take that?
All right, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's extremely difficult to be specific about any particular solution in any law. The only advantage we have in Nigeria is the fact that we've made our law so flexible that we can regulate emerging technologies, not particularly saying AI. A lot of laws that were passed like 15, 20 years ago in so many countries, they didn't even envisage emerging technologies. So the laws are so rigid that now they have a lot of issues, and that's why a lot of them are going back to the parliament for the amendment of their laws. But what we have in our law is that the law gives us power to issue regulations that will guide whatever we are doing in the area of emerging technology. Because the law is there, it's not something that you can be amending frequently. And the rate at which technologies are changing is really high. You may have, if you have one this year, maybe next year another one is coming out. You can't be going back to Parliament every time to say you want to amend the law. So what the law gives us the power to do is to issue regulations. I'm already working on our own regulations for AI. But what we have done in Nigeria is to have a national AI strategy under the Ministry of Communications, Information and Digital Economy. And the methodology adopted while drafting the law was really effective in the sense that it was a co-creation kind of method where people from all sectors, from different places across the world came together, spent like 1 week in Abuja, drafted the law, reviewed it, and took it around again for adoption. In Africa, as we speak, only 7 countries have AI strategies. But the good thing is that at the level of African Union, they've come together to look at what is happening in all the countries in Africa to have like a framework, global framework for AI strategies in Africa, so countries can adapt to. But what we are trying to do in the area of laws or regulations guiding AI in Nigeria is to develop a regulation in line with the Data Protection Act that will guide AI deployment and development in the country. But the major focus for now should be for us to see how we can really develop and implement these strategies to effectively deploy AI in Nigeria. Because there is no escape from it, and that is true, that's the reality on ground. So we are working in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Quickly, the second question is to the CP. Thank you, sir, for that. And that is that, it's just a quick question. I just want to know, from all the examples you gave us, the cybersecurity fight that you've taken out to the people, I'm just wondering if if you've taken this fight also to government officials in the country. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to understand whether you're a government official or a member of private sector. If you commit an offense, of course, you're going to face investigations, you're going to face prosecution at the end of the day. It does not matter where you belong to. So far, you're Nigerian, and if you commit any crime, be it cyber crime or any other form of crime, of course, the law is there, for us for it to be used against the individual. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have just one more question. One more question, and I've been told it's a quick one.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mojisola Ologe. I'm the Chief Risk Officer for Hydrogen Payments. So this question is directed to the person who spoke about collaboration. Yeah, so this is, yes, there's a lot about collaboration, and I believe, yes, it's a foundation, it's actually a backbone for, to position us well for fighting the cyber criminals. So now, but this doesn't happen. It's something we've established. So how do we make sure it happens? So what strategies do you have for us that we can adopt to make sure that all the security and risk assurance practices in our organizations today, that we are actually collaborating together?
Okay, I know that that didn't go to anyone in particular because everyone spoke about collaboration, but I think Coronation Bank mentioned collaboration as a key aspect as well, but maybe if you speak to it, and then we can have one more panelist speak to it as well. Okay, just quickly, he didn't hear the question, just a summary of the question.
Okay, so how do we force collaboration? So what strategies do you have for us? What are your suggestions?
So basically, sometimes we talk about collaboration, right? But once we leave this room, it becomes another story. So how do we actively foster collaboration? What are some of the strategies that you have seen, right, being, part of the industry in terms of how you collaborate with government, with regulators, with other, that people can take away?
Okay. Okay. So fostering collaboration is, you're right. It's one of those things that it has become a buzzword. We talk about collaboration, and then we eventually go our separate ways. I know this is a pertinent topic whenever the cybersecurity leaders and managers are together, because we always want to foster collaboration. But I think when I'm coming from a CISO forum point of view, one of the things that we've done is, first, we've understood, or we are getting to understand, that there is a shared destiny. We are not in any way individuals isolated from each other. One person's experience could easily be other people's learning points. So it has become a theme of our meetings to ensure that, look, information sharing is central to what we are doing. We've also built platforms among interested stakeholders, so we can now start sharing information in a secure way. Because one of the issues with information sharing is companies, organizations, people are kind of hesitant about oversharing. So it limits collaboration because they don't want to overshare. So we've set up modalities for what should be shared. And I think that has helped with the information we send with each other. And then we have also started fostering relationships with other interested parties. At other forums, for example, I've also been privileged to have the CP here speak, and that was a cybersecurity engagement as well. So we've also started reaching out to partner organizations and other relationships. It's not a natural thing. It has to be planned. It has to be planned and coordinated. So the success of all of these things I have just spoken about is based on the fact that there is a subcommittee for the CISOs who are in charge of driving collaboration. So I think the groups, I've also been I've been privileged to attend a meeting with the physical security people, and they've adopted the same strategy. They are establishing a committee to drive collaboration, not just among themselves, but with other related stakeholders. So I think in groups of like-minded individuals or the same goals and aims should also start taking collaboration, not just as something that naturally happens, but as something that should be strategically planned, implemented, and executed. That would be my suggestion. But if you think we're just going to sit down together and naturally collaborate, I'm not sure that would happen. We have to plan and work towards it.
Just to add quickly, whether we like it or not, if we don't want to collaborate, situations and circumstances will force us to collaborate. Because, I mean, assuming if we need an information about someone's BVN, maybe an BVN somehow used to commit crime, and we need that information at law enforcement and as an criminal investigator, and you don't share that information. I think that you are immune to cyber attack or any form of attack. At the end of the day, you might equally face an attack. So whether we like it or not, there is need for us to collaborate now. So it's not a matter of whether we strategies or situations that we have now even forced us to collaborate. Just take home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that pretty much ably answered that question, I hope. Be intentional, right? I think collaboration is something that it has to happen. It has to happen for all of this to work. And I think having more stakeholder engagements like this as well, right, is something that we need to do more of that. And so thank you very much, Smartcomply, for doing that as one for much early sometimes, right? But I think needs to be spot. So for COO of Smartcomply, after that we'll take a quick group picture, and just to mention, lunch is ready, so we'll be quickly moving on to that as well. All right, thank you very much. And thank you to all of you as well. Thank you. Sorry we couldn't take more questions, right? I think these are very, very impactful times. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone. To present the awards to our keynote speakers for their contribution to the industry, I'd like to invite David Adeke. Okay, first person. To our keynote speaker, Dr. Vincent Olatunji would like to present his awards to you. Thank you very much. Thank you for honoring us, and thank you for your contribution. Next on our list will be CP Uche. Uche Ifeanyi. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, next on our list is Tiso Ademola Adedoyin. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for honoring us. Thank you for your contribution. Next is Femi Aremo. Thank you very much, sir. Next is Feijimi Adiwole. Mr. Feijimi Adiwole. Thank you for your contribution, sir. Thank you for always supporting us. Dr. Mohamed Lawan. Thank you, sir. Thank you to NICDA. Thank you very much for always supporting us. Dr. Harrison Naje, highly represented. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, David. We'd like to invite our keynote speakers for a group picture. Thank you very much, sirs. Thank you for staying with us thus far.
You guys want to stay on the All right, thank you very much. Please, a round of applause again. I think we've taken so much. Data is gold. And today really has been special. Okay, so as we said, lunch is being served. And just to close out the occasion, we have our head of customer success and risk assurance of Smartcomply, Ife. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests and esteemed clients. As we bring this, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to every one of you. Your presence here today, your engagement, and the rich insights that we have shared have made this gathering truly impactful. Together, we've delved into the critical themes shaping the future of cybersecurity, privacy, and regulatory compliance, areas that stand at the core of organizational resilience and trust in this digital age. So today, we explore the dynamic landscape of compliance, cybersecurity challenges that 2025 will undoubtedly bring, the evolving regulatory frameworks that demand our attention and action. The exceptional insights from our expert speakers have illuminated not just the risks we face, but the opportunities that we can seize to stay ahead. One thing is crystal clear. The world of compliance and cybersecurity is in perpetual motion. The rapid pace of technological advancements, the sophistication of emerging threats, and the tightening grip of global regulations mean that standing still is not an option for us. Privacy concerns are escalating, and regulatory bodies are raising the bar, not just as a challenge, but as a call to action for all of us to elevate our standards. Yet, as we've learned today, meeting these challenges is more about just compliance. It's about trust. It's about fortifying the foundations of our organizations, protecting the people that we serve, and safeguarding the future of our industries. Reacting to this is no longer enough. We must anticipate, we must innovate, and above all, we must lead. As we look toward 2025 and beyond, let this moment be a turning point. Let it ignite shared commitment to not only adapt to change, but to drive it. Together, we can build a landscape where cybersecurity and compliance are not barriers, but enablers of growth, innovation, and trust. I want to extend my thanks to our phenomenal for their expertise and thought leadership. To our sponsors and organizers, thank you for bringing this vision to life. And to all of you here today, thank you for your participation, your perspectives, and your unwavering dedication to advancing this critical dialogue. I hope you leave this session not just with actionable insights, but a renewed sense of purpose and empowerment to tackle the challenges ahead. The work we do in this space is more than just safeguarding or complying with regulations. It's about building a safer, more secure, and more trustworthy world for the future. So let's stay informed, let's stay vigilant, and let's stay united in our commitment to excellence. Thank you once again for joining us today. Together, let's shape a resilient and secure tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, and let's continue this vital journey together. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so I think this is the time that we get to really have the hard conversations, right? We get to meet each other. We get to do that over lunch. So lunch is ready to be served. Please, please, please make sure that you're not just meeting the panelists, for meeting many of the leaders that are in this room. I think there are representatives from many of the top fintech companies from across Nigeria and Africa seated in this room. So please make sure that you network, you connect with someone new, and most of all, stay compliant. My name is Olusheye Shoyode Johnson. I'm the head of partnerships for Bundle. Please reach out to me. Thank you. And have a great afternoon. Cheers.
Bye.